now.
Woo.
After that introduction, thank you so much to the team behind it. Of course, we're jumping right into picks advance, however.
Rumble is still up here. Hold on.
And two big things immediately. This is the thing that happened in spring as well. Ashe, T1, not allowed to have it. Both Guma and Carry use it amazingly well. But also, Rakan, missing Wheel, not be allowed to play.
And what about Ruler Callista, too? That has been permabanned versus him. Callista could get through. Something is getting through. Rumble is getting through. The
Orianna.
And this is what happens when you prioritize taking away signature picks or comfort picks of players. Meta powerhouses make it through. Feels like it could be an easy Rumble first pick, but does 369 have something up his sleeve for that? Instead, the Orianna, the other pick worth talking about, and you have to assume JDG take the Rumble here.
Yeah, I feel like you have to take it away just because of how good Zeus has been on it, how dominant of a pick it's been, and an answer has not been found. And I really like the Callista ban because it would not surprise me if T1 would have just B1 that. One, to deny it from Ruler, but also because it is a flex pick for T1. Both Guma and Carrier can use that. Rumble will be picked up here and will not be given over to Zeus. Really strong start there for JDG.
Yeah, I think the thing that most people are looking forward to in this draft is what will the bottom lane reveal be? Because Guma on stage, after their victory over LNG, said we have plenty more in hiding for the counter picks for that bottom lane. We do get a counter pick here, the Akali into Orianna. We've seen it a bunch already. Will go down early on in CS, give up that push, but will be great for lanes later on, looking for assassination in the side lane. And they slam the Aatrox into the Rumble. We did not see that go well yesterday.
Yeah, from everything I've heard talking to pro top laners, this matchup is miserable. Odawane was talking about it yesterday on X. This is an unplayable in the early state. The Shy had 2 CS, was forced to back, came back and won this lane matchup anyway as Rumble.
Let's see if it was a Shy diff or a Rumble diff.
And I would have actually loved the Wukong there. Wukong works extremely well together with the Rumble to set up, and it's also a preemptive pick into T1 if they do still gravitate towards a double AD carry bot lane. Now there is an opportunity for JDG to ban away some of the picks that would enable that, and I do think if you have Wukong, Akali, they might be too worried that your mid lane jungle 2v2 is a little bit too weak in the early game.
I love this though for T1 grabbing the Rel flex super early on because it can go down bottom side as well for support or go jungle. And now we're going to see they're still drawing so many support bans. This is what everybody thought it was going to come down to in this series, is saving those bottom lanes till the very end here. Senna already off the table. They sold the Senna, plus Tom Kench, plus Anila as well. Let's see about the continued bans here, though. It looks like they're still going for these engaged champs because you know JDG want to build a 5-on-5 team fight.
You do, but of course we have to see how JDG are going to approach this bot lane arms race, what they're going to bring to the table to try to shut down some of these options for T1. T1 dominant on the red side, one of the only teams to do so. JDG have the luxury of that last pick, counter pick for bottom lane. How will they use it? The #1 question on
Renata's still up, Milio still up. The Varus was very good for Gumayushi.
And what I'm wondering about is whether we are going to see the Xayah, because I think particularly into Rumble, Xayah has really dropped in stock. Becomes very hard to play out the late game fights when you have to use your Feather Storm immediately. But for JDG, that doesn't apply. Ruler is an absolute insane Xayah, courtesy of his world skin as well. So no surprise if it is locked in here. And it would also mean that T1 might be going towards a hyper carry themselves.
Have to see how T1 want to round at this, how they want to respond, what they want to blind pick into this bot lane support matchup, because I love what I'm seeing from JDG. So much backline threat with the Rumble ult, the Akali, the Vi going in together, having AD carry who can peel for themselves. Jin Bard!
We were talking about the Jin so much early in the morning, and he actually slams it. Guma loves the Jin. So many people who are not AD carry players, though, do not like this Jin. I will say, calm down a little bit here. There is no tank on the enemy team, and that is the biggest inhibitor to the Jin. So as much as everybody loves memeing on Jin picks, there is no armor stacking tank here, and that's the biggest problem that he has to deal with.
There's a lot of history, obviously, with Jin and T1. None of it good, and it is also a really big pivot away. I think the laning strength is the only similarity, but outside of that, not really going to be the case. The Alistar actually coming back here does mean that Missing will be able to provide engage, and I really like this. I feel like you're kind of need to have some extra form of CC here besides the Vi to really get the most out of your Rumble in particular.
Yeah, for sure. They always want to have that structure to their team fights because JG is this team. They do not snowball games super effectively. They just crush you later in the team fights. Let's see if they can actually do it this time around. Of course, this is the first Jhin of Worlds 2023 picked up here. Guma slamming it down in the semifinals. And there's so much CC with this bottom lane as well. So much pick potential with a Bard plus Jhin. You can try and get that early lead in lane against an Alistar, and then get Keria out of lane so you can go gank for the other lanes.
And we saw yesterday how effective a roaming Bard can be, how disruptive it can be to the game plan. A lot of the champions on the opposite side who might want to roam, who might want to look for these plays, you are up against missing on Alistar, this massive playmaker. So need to see if T1 can continue the trend of snowballing their leads in the early game.
And Keria has already proven himself on the Bard at Worlds here. He had a really beautiful Q flash redirection play on it. He's been very good at denying the Rift Herald charges as well on the tower, so expecting big things.
It also means the top lane matchup is much more important. With Jhin comps, you can't really afford to lose damage elsewhere, and we have not seen this matchup work out very well for the Aatrox. So a lot of pressure here on Zeus, who has been doing a really good job so far, but Rumble, that's going to be tough to survive in the early game.
So one thing I was talking about yesterday on the analyst desk with the Aatrox into the Rumble pick was that we did not get the Comet Aatrox, it was Conqueror Aatrox. And if you go Comet Aatrox, it's much more of a poke playstyle. But I also was DMing Odo and talking about it because he was really heavy on the Rumble side, and he was of the opinion that Rumble still can just W most of the Q poke, even with the Comet build here, and still come out ahead. And then you're sacrificing, of course, you don't have Conqueror for later for the Aatrox for your team fights. We'll see how much that does cost him, but Zeus here at least is going for the Comet tech to try and do that more pokey play style.
We'll see how it works out for them. Of course, in the meantime, connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive Braum W emote. That's how I felt about the Aatrox in the Rumble matchup yesterday, a lot of Braum W. So see if it works out better this time around for Zeus, how the poke adjusts this match, if it can shift these early expectations. And Jhin, I think, is going to remain the #1 question throughout this entire game. How effective can it be? Ruler obviously opting for the cleanse makes sense against so much CC, but what can they do in the early laning phase specifically?
And those early lane phase, what we expect them to be is to be a lot of push mid for Faker against this Akali. Knight Akali, early levels, you're not going to have too many options there. So the Orianna generally going to get some push. JDG with 369 on top side, the Rumble should still get plenty of push versus the Aatrox regardless of the Comet. So I want to see what they do with this because T1, you can see Owner is already taking away Raptors into red camp, started on the top side, doing a bit of split for the jungle, and that is going to be 2 camps stolen already.
And Bard level 1 still looking incredibly oppressive. With your passive, you essentially have 2 spells early on, whereas Missing essentially has none as a level 1 Alistar. So no surprise to see T1 take control of the bottom lane for now. See what it looks like once level 2 comes around for now. Keria and Guma doing their best to zone JDG's bot lane off of XP and gold.
Also, do take note, we already have Owner possibly looking for an opportunity to punish 369. He did walk into the jungle, didn't actually see, I think, where Owner started. We'll obviously find that out soon, as soon as Kanavi figures it out, but the timing window might just be there.
It's perfect for the setup.
369,
now they know!
Total control of the lane, but just now sees Owner. Owner mounting up. On the way in, looking to lock him up and take him out. 369 still standing for now. Will he burn the flasher or just accept his fate, trying instead to turn and burn onto Zeus, get a little bit more health damage, just accepts his fate. First blood for the side of T1. Knight and Kanavi not able to find the counterpunch in mid lane.
Level 1s are so big, and the delayed invade there, taking away the Raptors into red. Easy level 3 topside counter gank, or just pure gank there for Owner. Meanwhile, Kanavi getting chased off his attempted counter jungle.
Oh, Faker trying to make sure that Kanavi does not just get the camp for free. Now Owner's on his way, and Keria, he's trying to collapse.
Keria coming through. Magical journey through the wall will just completely zone him off the camp.
Defense complete. And now Kanavi is going to know he's got nothing to go back to in his own jungle. Even gets stunned up here in mid lane by Keria, further delaying him. Everybody knows, T1 know his only option is to come topside towards a Scuttle Crab or towards some more blue camps here. So it looks like Owner comes up, he covers that top Scuttle Crab, and there is nothing for Kanavi.
Not only that, but Owner already has been able to get it back in, whereas Kanavi still had to be out on the map trying to pivot, and this timing window was so short because you see Kanavi there pinging. They know that Owner is on the top side of the map. 369 just wasn't able to get the wave in time.
And the key is this ward right here that they had to see, the regular gank path is all circumvented by that level 1 that we're talking about. When he starts on Raptors, goes into red, he just 3 camp clears JDG's side of the jungle, comes from behind you with a red buff, and that is going to influence the data on our Aatrox Rumble matchup a little bit further.
And you got to respect T1's foresight to prepare for what is considered a Rumble-favored matchup by leveraging some early jungle priority here to the top side of the map. Zeus getting closer and closer to what we assume is the first item Hex Drinker. We saw in the Gwen matchup how impactful that item is in the 1v1.
You know what they say? The most important part of a top lane matchup is jungle.
Yeah! No fair fights in the top lane. Also, do note Zeus went for Doran's Blade, so really opting into the early lane dominance, in addition to the kill that he already got, doesn't really set him behind, does give him a lot more combat stats to try and stay on parity. Because if you can mitigate the Rumble early on, it gets you to the point where the Aatrox can actually skirmish. And as already mentioned, I do expect it to be a Hex Drinker, given that you're playing to double AP topside, and T1 have been very aggressive in securing early Heralds.
It's 5 minutes into the game. T1 already have a 1,000 gold lead. No objectives taken quite yet. Herald, of course, hasn't even spawned. But T1, we expected them to pull ahead in the laning phase, but they are much further than just a little bit ahead at this stage of the game.
Yeah, it's so interesting and fun to compare the playstyle of these two juggernaut teams. Absolute masters here at Worlds in very different arenas. T1 masters of snowballing these lane phases into mid-game and into end of the entire Nexus. Meanwhile, JDG, they have not put a lot of effort in a lot of their games into getting huge early leads, but they have been explosive in their mid-game team fights and actually have a quicker average game time because of it.
Oh, and I would really like this from JDG, because you know T1 is going to try and aggressively stack dragons, but they won't have the opportunity. We do see Knight already here. Doesn't look like T1 is going to be able to contest this.
Zeus going for the solo bolo, and he just gets the kill!
What? That is not a Comet diff right there. That's a Zeus diff. God of lightning, god of the top lane. He lays it down, and 369, it is in the dirt again. Whoa!
And for T1, after the chase performance we saw last week, we wondered what level Zeus would be at, what level T69 would be at in this matchup. When he got the Rumble, I thought for sure he'd be favored, but Zeus setting the expectation on its head, and 369 just too far behind, stepping far too far forward.
Yeah.
Q1 confirms the pullback on Infernal Chains, makes it easy.
Yeah, just dash forward, hits the chain. He had the level 6 advantage, gets the solo bolo. And again, it all comes back to the early jungle path for Kanavi, stealing away, or for our owner, stealing away the camps, getting the gank off.
Because if 369 is 6, you can't go for that play, right? He will be able to easily survive as...
Ruler ignited 2 fights, one in the bottom lane, one in the mid lane. Faker burning the shockwave just to get away from Knight. Now the curtain call coming out. Ruler gonna sidestep 1, slowed by the 2nd, looking for 1 more, but missing there just in time to deny the kill. Guma 4 shot now pushing in. Jin notoriously bad at pushing these towers. Probably not gonna be able to grab a plate there, but Ruler's so low, maybe they can get it done. Is Owner still controlling, total control on the top side from T1. Mid lane matchup getting a bit closer. Guma playing very aggressive with the power of the journey.
See there as well, the confidence from Ruler, knowing that missing was there, not using his flash, only invested its cleanse, but T1 still going to be happy there towards the bot side of the map. I think the big thing for JDG is to not let the map snowball from here. That early Drake actually makes a really big difference, because we know this team is going to play for, say, 1-2 item spikes and the 5v5. So delaying the point where T1 forces you into a must-fight scenario with Drake stacking early on has already been delayed. And then secondly, Knight has been able to do a really good job of mitigating the early presence that Orianna is expected to have by just staying on CS parity.
I have to say, especially with the early money and being behind, the early money going into Oblivion Orb and being behind, this Rumble is not going to have the same impact that we have seen Rumble at this tournament. Those team fight ultimates that he is supposed to bring for these objectives are going to be so much weaker than you're used to seeing. I don't know if the threat is even going to really be there for JDG, so T1 are going to feel very confident about this mid game and try and snowball here. Owner up to the top side, does see Kanavi as he comes over with that Scryer's plant, but they're calling up everybody here. This is going to be a full 5-on-5. Both bot lanes coming.
No ultimates available for either support. There are ultimates for both Ruler and Guma. We'll see if T1 is able to contest here.
No flash for Keria. Has to be a bit careful about how far forward he steps. Kanavi ready with the ultimate. Zeus strong.
Getting low.
But opted for lethality. He's still relatively squishy, all things considered. Zeus still stepping forward with the Infernal Chain, looking for the lockup. Tempered Fate now coming in, isolating Knight. Knight right in the back line. Owner immediately with the follow-up engage. Zeus still standing. Now finally the bias going in, but it might just be too little too late. Knight, fancy feet to the back of the fight. Zeus ticking, burning, but the shutdown is 369. But now they're just
force all of their flashes over the back of the pit and then still chase down 2 of the kills. That initiation, Keria, Bard ultimate into Owner, timing the rel engage right afterwards is massive.
And the nightmare of the Jhin turns into a dream for T1 fans as this Herald fight goes their way. It is the setup here initially looks a bit clunky, but Owner gets the combo, immediately forces out the ult from Ruler, and this is where, if 369 isn't so far behind, maybe it's enough to turn the fight, and instead, everyone is already low, the equalizer isn't enough, and JDG are fish in a barrel.
And you just saw there, Rumble flashed and still died. Gumayusi killed him. Missing flashes, Missing still gonna die. He gets killed by the Jhin again. Keria, Bard tunnels them over, Knight dies as well. Let's see about the next fight, because now there are going to be 0 flashes on the side of JDG. Faker, Kanavi still have theirs.
Zeus, no boots yet, no magic mantle. Working steadily towards what we assume will be a Duskblade here as he backs away. Maybe suspects the play from Kanavi. Charge forward, lock up, ulti used in the previous fight. 369 still burning him down. Zeus running for the hills, the rumble, and the Vi. Get it done on the top side. A bit of hope for JDG.
That's huge. That's very, very big for getting him back on trap. They need to get 369 and turret plate up there as well. Rift Trail dropped in the mid lane. Looks like Knight was actually the one who got to pick it up. Nice, so he's gonna be able to get the full gold on it. Didn't have to split it with Kanavi there. Isolates it a little bit more, but next Dragon coming up pretty soon as well. Only 10 seconds left on that clock. And Keria is already trying to get a little bit deeper vision for the setup.
Really big moment here. These are the types of plays that JDG need to make if they want to make sure that this goalie doesn't grow further, right? Shutting down Zeus, not allowing him to just play the isolated 1v1, because we've seen in the series against LNG where that can lead. Kanavi being very patient there. Zeus walks up and wards, gets taken out even without the ult being available for the Vi.
And reminder that when we talk about JDG, we talk about scaling graciously, being willing to lose something here or there, so when they hit 2 items, they can find the perfect angle for a fight, something they are so incredibly good at doing. That said, T1 taking control for so much of this early game, almost 2K in their favor. They're not willing to give up this Drake for free. Owner into the pit, and he will steal it right out of Kanavi's hands. Curtain call over the wall. There is nowhere for that Vi to go. Guma now on a killing spree, Missing running for his life, locked up into the wall. Equalizer used just to keep the support alive.
T1 make it look effortless there. They just come in, yoink, thank you so much for the Dragon. Owner steals it away, and they also get the... Never mind, he gets a freebie back.
Staying a bit too long, stun now coming through. 369, careful not to overheat too quickly. Continuing to walk forward, making sure now he has the flame spitter to try to bring it back. Shockwave there, Keria not quite able to connect. Maybe they have the damage. Faker's gonna be in trouble, Missing now, pushing him back, trying to sacrifice. 369 burns down to the ignite of Keria. Missing killed as well, and every play that looks like it favors JDG just turns in the favor of T1.
And it looked there like Owner had overstepped, but the rest of the team is there to back him up. Faker can't keep him alive, but can stall for reinforcements to arrive.
And the key factor here, through it all, through all of this exciting fight, is that all these kills keep going to Faker and Gumayusi, and they still have their flashes available. The T1 carries are in a huge position to carry. So 140-something HP it looked like there on the Dragon, on a Kanavi's early attempt. Owner just yoinks it, thank you very much. Then they come in. They did invest Zeus' teleport there to get down, and you see towards the end of it, you had Knight teleport up top side on the Akali to go pick up that minion wave by the top turret, which is probably what Owner was thinking when he was like, okay, fine, I guess it's okay for me to go in here. In the end, on the chase down, they still end up getting the better of it here, because with the Ignite on 369, they still get that kill, and they get the kill on the Missing. So even though Owner walks into the jungle and he goes down, it's a 2-for-1 for T1.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about Jhin in general, but 303 Jhin with Swifties and a Stormrazor, I feel pretty damn good about, Kobe.
And it's about when you pick it. You know, like we said in Champ Select, there's no pure big tank on the enemy team.
Temper Fate there.
A bunch of armor.
Should be an easy follow-up. Now Keria taking his time, waiting for the wall to try to line it up. He doesn't even need to! Zeus' damage is disgusting.
And crucial there, look at the timing on 369 flash. Just a couple of seconds later, and he would have been able to flash that, would have been fine. But T1 is targeting this top side so insanely heavy, and it all comes from Keria's Bard.
And he's not done.
Clean sidestep, nice backstep as well. Shattering Strike, not gonna connect. Ruler able to hold on to his life. Good footwork, Missing there to cover and clear the way, but T1 sharks in the water, waiting for a single sign of blood from JDG.
So fun to watch them play because after they get the kill on top side, they immediately shift everybody up towards this mid lane. Zeus is able to get the tower by himself as they push them back. And so first tower bonus, look at that, 14.5 minutes. We've already got objective bounties popping up on the side of JDG because of the gold lead that T1 have accrued.
That is insane. And MasterCard Lane Economy Snapshot is gonna remind us just how crazy it is. That's dominance. If you didn't know what dominance looks like in the graph, that's it.
Yeah, what's that 25 then, huh?
I don't know.
What's that called?
It's kind of like a reverse middle finger is kind of what's going on here in this early game. And that said, T1, they're a team that's loved around the world, right? They're heavy favorites in the vote, but coming into this tournament, JDG felt like clear winners. Felt like probably an easy golden road given the meta, but T1, you know, a chance for redemption for a roster that's come close so many times, and they're making good on all that faith from all the fans here in Busan showing up in game one.
Kind of player from JDG. They know they can't contest because of the item discrepancy, to try and get maybe a kill towards the bot side of the map, maybe pick up a bounty. I think they should be able to shove in the turret here, but it is going to be the Herald going over this time around to T1, and this dragon stacking is going to become a really big part. I think the first Drake that JDG got is still something they're going to be super happy about because it denies a really early Ocean Soul, because we haven't really talked about it yet, right? But T1 in particular, if they can reach a point where players like Zeus, even with this lethality build, can just sustain for everything, it becomes really hard for JDG because their Rumble is so far behind to actually have the damage output until you get to way later in the game to take down T1.
One thing that's so cool about the T1 bottom lane here and them continuing to innovate on the world's meta is that with Jhin and Bard, you have so many pick tools for the mid stages of the game. When you get towers down so early like this, it frees up a lot of space to go in. Room for Carrier to make some picks here with the Bard ultimate, as well as Gumayushi with these Ws, trying to root up behind anything that owner goes for. So when you're in a time window like this, where Zeus does have his teleport ready, you have to be so scared as JDG, because Zeus can just split push and then still teleport into the rest of the team towards this dragon spawn. There he comes.
Now the curtain call comes out, isolating Kanavi. Carrier now on the follow, trying to take the jungle out before the dragon comes alive. Ignite already burning down, Kanavi running. Half health. If T1 want to capitalize on this window, they're going to need to fight soon.
And look at that. Zeus was able to push the wave all the way up. He teleports down to the bottom side. Now T1 have the minion wave crashing top side. They can push out mid, and they're threatening JDG on this team fight. Zeus on the flank, down bottom, in the tri-brush.
Herald already utilized. Going to create some pressure, going to break open mid lane at the very least. T1 already pulling ahead in the play. If they can get the Drake as well, it's everything. Owner waiting in the darkness. JDG, this is such a tough angle to fight from. Continuing to stay around, continuing to stick around, willing to give up so many resources. The crash in mid lane already happened from the Herald. The tower slowly but surely crashing. Or rather breaking down now as Dragon still aggroed here. Carrier playing on the edge. Ruler going through the portal. Feathers fly, but to little effect as JDG just have to run the pullback over the wall. Now they're just trying to isolate and take out Zeus. Big gold influx for the side of JDG. Can they take the fall fight? Already the equalizer burned. Carrier running through the magical journey. Everybody trying to get out, but Owner will be denied. Owner cannot find the escape, but it doesn't matter because T1 are there in time. Missing, trying to fire back. Gumayushi out of ammo, desperately trying to reload, but here comes the kunai. Here comes Knight to flash away to safety. 3 shots left in the barrel. Manages to lock him down, playing on the edge, missing as he stabbed
Faker's coming!
Far. Faker on the flank. No shockwave. A lot of help. Has to play careful here. Knight, no ultimate. Needs to make his way out of this one. The lockup there from Guma from so far away. Owner coming in, the pullback on the missing, trying not to stick around for too long. One taken down already. Knight now going in, trying to turn it back. Guma says not today.
Guma puts it right between his eyes as Knight goes for the kill. But Faker did so much work in this. He's able to get back to the tri-brush. His shockwave buys them the space, and then he chases down the extra kill.
And for a moment, it looks like what I can only imagine must have been a mistake with Ruler taking the gate there. JDG is almost able to take it around by immediately collapsing onto Zeus. Even with him investing his flash, he ends up going down, and that's a lot of gold for T1, gone right from the get-go.
And that is the Akali ultimate, it is the Vi ultimate, and it's a bunch of tower dive damage. So then when Faker is able to teleport down and reposition here by the tri-brush as well, his shockwave splits them, and then look, he just runs down Ruler while Knight and Missing are trying to chase Gumayushi, but Gumayushi, critical flash right there. He dodges the E from Knight. That is lethal. He's able to avoid this, and then Faker's able to chase them down. The W coming through from the Jhin as well to root up Knight. And that's all she wrote. Owner poking around. He knows all he has to worry about is the Akali damage. They kill off the Alistar first. Even with that E landing, Guma takes him down.
4 shot in the dancing grenade to finish the job. Close fight. At the end of the day, we saw in the picture-in-picture as well, Ocean Drake does get picked up.
Exactly, and what is that going to do for the game plan for this team? We saw before the Dragon even went down, the mid tower's down. All the goals that T1 wanted with this composition have been accomplished. They're opening up the map. They've taken away the Dragon stacking possibilities from JDG, and they have the gold lead to snowball with. So now without these outer towers in mid and top here, T1 are going to continue to look for picks.
Owner pushed back, contesting a bit of vision here as Guma tries to get mid priority. You can see Faker opting for a defensive build in the Akali. Knows that if he wants to go onto that side lane, he needs something like a Banshees to make sure he does not get picked off. Diligence in the itemization of T1. Locket as well coming out for Keria, just to make sure that it's that much harder to burst through Gumayushi. And with JDG so far behind in so many positions, they might just not have enough damage to finish off these priority targets. Keria going in. Lineup not quite there, but the captive audience now coming through. Missing, trying to back up. Shockwave pulling back just to kill the Alistar, but they get the tier 2 as well.
The range on this composition, baby. Look at those picks for T1. The cow is down, and they're going to get a free bottom tower. Look at the minimap. Zeus, free to split push to his heart's content. The last outer tower. The defense is here for JDG, crumbling.
Keria, perfect predict on the Shuriken flip means the lockup is there on a Knight. He goes into the Shroud. Kanavi ready to give his life to protect his mid laner. They're now going into the back line straight onto Guma. Locked up with a Temper Fang, doesn't quite connect to the Jhin. Burns to the ground. JDG trying to hold on to hope, but here is Zeus. Here is the top laner right as they need him to crash down the pull back on the Infernal Chains. Missing goes in, but he cannot find the edge. Ruler still stands, but he doesn't have the angle to attack. He doesn't have the angle into the fight. The Shroud will take Knight out to safety, and T1 stands strong despite the kill on the Guma.
As long as T1 doesn't get anything, though, you'll take that as JDG. That is a big shutdown going over. Guma actually going down there means that at the very least some gold will go into the pockets, but you gotta imagine as soon as the Baron is going to get started by T1, their take isn't amazing, but that has to be the next objective.
Keria there, knows Knight's gonna go for the E on his tumble backwards, stuns him up, hits him, but here's a look at the encounter. It is so beautiful. Kanavi locking Guma up, and then they get the root from Ruler. He doesn't even get to move, and Gumayushi is dead.
Yeah, if Guma gets caught in the Bard Earl there, then he actually survives, right? It is the fact that he just barely, I think, got knocked out of it there at the end. And as a result, ends up going down. T1 tries to get more extra kills, but won't find it. But this is the real test for JDG. Even with the deficit, can they maybe find a big wombo combo on top of a Rumble Ultimate when T1 goes for Nash?
And a test for T1 to make sure that they can take this Baron cleanly or continue to push their advantage forward. So many teams, this is where it all gets thrown away around this massive objective. JDG, though, continuing to just fish for picks on the side lane, not eager to force the 5v5. The deficit they're at, it makes a lot of sense. 7K gold advantage for the side of T1.
People usually, as we have Owner getting into some dangerous territory here.
They'll walk away.
Rumble's recalling right now, and Rumble doesn't have teleport. He's Ignite Rumble, so there's no way they actually try and fight it. All right, JDG, they want to defend their vision, but they have to choose their moment. They're so far behind that now, if they lose another fight, then that will be Baron, and that will be the end of the game. That will be all that T1 need to end it.
Big thing here, though, is that that ward isn't spotted by the control ward. So there is 100% knowledge for JDG whether or not T1 has actually started up the Baron. So JDG can just sit there, bide their time.
Missing walks forward, immediately forced to break the Unbreakable Will, or to pop the Unbreakable Will.
That was an immediate cost to curse. Sorry for your flash Missing.
To be fair, he knew they at least weren't on Baron, even if he wasn't sure of anything else. T1 have started this one. Guma in the area. Again, a slower Baron normally, but they're so far ahead with the Jhin that it might not matter. TP from the Akali. Knight in the area now. T1 maybe just going to fish for the pick here. Already got one advantage. Tempered Fate onto Kanavi is big. The lineup is there. Zeus immediately going to look to knock him down. Can they find it? Kanavi now going right back into Zeus. Owner in the area. Big damage coming in for the Darkened Blade. Missing on the backside, trying to buy some space. With a shockwave, it's clean! And in comes the curtain call! It is Zeus wreaking havoc on all of JDG to finish the ace of JDG.
That's a clean ace. That's got to be the game. I think they can push for the end.
Halt construction on the Golden Road immediately. T1 have something to say about it.
From start to finish, they have been in the driver's seat from the creative pathing in the early game of Owner to shut down 3-6-9. T1 have their eyes on the prize, and the prize alone. A spot in the finals, or at least one game closer. T1 showing up massive in this first game. Missing and Kanavi should not be enough. The Nexus lower and lower. T1 drawing first blood in this series.
Well, well, well. Blue side, game one, quite the flex here from T1, pulling out the Jin Bard, snowballing incredibly effectively. And I still have to remember how this game first started, with Owner getting a really good Raptor steal into Red steal into Krugs, level 3, ganking on the Rumble from behind. And that changed the whole story of how this top lane is going to go. Zeus is then able to follow it up with a solo kill, and T1 snowballed victory.
And I have two questions. What is going to happen to Rumble? The pick away didn't work, and what side is JDG going to pick?
Damn good questions. Let's see if the analyst desk got any answers for us as we send it over.
Allowing Kanavi to get the type of pick that he shines on.
Are they going to go? So Kalista plus Renata is available, and they go for the double poke lane. With the Ashe not being banned, Caitlyn Ashe here, so much poke power, so much pushing power for bottom lane. I want to see if they try and attempt to still pick the short range Kalista Renata into it and try and get some ganks off, try and get some pressure there, or opt to also go with a double poke.
And I want to reiterate, Ruler's Kalista was banned for years in the LCS. It didn't matter whether the champion was meta.
Baby.
He was just not allowed to play it. And he even faced into a counter matchup on the Ashe, which obviously has a really good matchup into this, still going to trust himself, trust his mechanics, and trust his lane partner to try and get a lead there.
And I think the sad thing for Ruler is if you look at the previous game, it wasn't really about his proficiency in the 2v2. He had no lane prio, trapped under his tower, couldn't find an angle into a fight. And it's a similar story for Missing on the Alistar. A lot of these aggressive engages just not paying off. So see if this will be a different story with the Kalista, with the comfort pick, with almost a signature pick, backing him up here. The Vi now coming out as well. Again, safe, pretty standard jungle pick, but T1 opting to mismatch here. Not going to pick a jungler. Will lock in the Azir for Faker. See what they end up getting for Owner as we get later in the draft, and what JDG can secure for Missing in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I kind of actually like JDG jumping on the Vi pick here to combine with the Orianna ball for the delivery system back to the double low mobility 80 carries to the side of T1, but it does mean you're going to drop your support pick here, and you guys are talking about Missing. He's going to receive several extra bans here. The Nautilus right off the top of it here. They're trying to take away more of that hard engage to protect their backline.
And Gwen here signals maybe a Cassante for 369. He really struggled in the previous game. Can also look towards the Ornn, because I do think that that is one of the tools that can really frustrate these low mobility but really high power bot lane carries for Gamusha and Keria. Blitzcrank also taken away shouldn't be a surprise, given that neither of them really have a good way of dealing with it. And you can snowball the lane very early on if you land some key hooks.
What is the blind pick here for T1? Presumably just jungle. Save counter pick for Zeus on the top side of the map. Really taking their time. Again, champion pool was a question for Owner, but he's shown that it goes pretty deep these days.
Yeah, they could do.
Oh, yeah.
So much up. The Maokai is up. The Sejuani is up.
Oh, yeah, just that incredibly high priority champion we've seen the entire tournament. Yeah, it will be the Maokai locked in. Combined with the Hawk Shot, combined with the Yordle Snap Traps, it is going to be impossible for JDG.
That means they might do Zeus with an AD top laner there, like Jace or something like that even. It is early into the Cassante, though, so Jack's angle available.
Senna.
The Senna plus Kalista lane here to try and deal with the poke Ashe Kate.
And I think a lot of the reason that we've seen Senna be successful in this tournament is because she goes into relatively low-range opponents. Things like the Kai'Sarel. Both Ashe and Caitlyn have good tools to contest Senna's soul stacking in the early lane phase, but have to hope that JDG have something special prepared here.
Aatrox seems to be the no-brainer here. Zeus, I'm sure, is going to go lethality, even facing Cassante. But I think the main thing with Senna and Kalista is that their level 1 is absolutely nuts. And I'd expect this to go back to what we saw in the LCK in Spring countless times over, where literally it just, you heal level 1, you just fight to the death, fight over control of the wave, because whichever of these two lanes gets ahead is going to have a really easy time to, from then on, keep their opponents on the back foot.
I'm excited for this one. Keria is the master of these double AD bottom lanes, so this is going to be a fist fight down there.
And with T1 one game ahead, now on red side, we know what JDG is likely to pick in the next game as well, pushing T1 back there. You have to hope, if you're a JDG fan, that JDG can show us more, that they can match more, because if T1 find the same advantages that they did against LNG with these incredibly aggressive bottom lanes, as a blind pick this time around, that is a big red flag as we get deeper into the series.
And this JDG comp does need to stack those dragons to be able to get that win con there for them. Make use of the rend to secure it. Oh my goodness, so much pressure here on.
And talk about pressure, 369 needs to have a better game on the K'Sante. This is something that obviously we talk so much about the journey of this player, going from someone that could only play carries to someone that, and we saw this both domestically and at MSI, is the best tank player in the world, right? The way he's able to create...
I love how Zeus is like making you question it now.
I mean,
like, wait a second, a couple of series here.
I mean, 369, I don't think has had the best tournament thus far, right? So I think it isn't unreasonable. Having a big K'Sante game here, though, is going to be pivotal, and I'd expect him to bounce back the way that JDG have done countless times throughout this year.
We'll see if he can do it, but in the meantime, his team's set up their level 1s. Remember that you can log into your Riot account on LOLesports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes and icons. There it is. Bam, LOLesports.com. Get those drops, folks.
And let me remind you, this JDG team, even though they got blasted in game number 1, this is the quintessential super team. When they added Knight and Ruler to this squad, two of the best carries in the entire world here, their goal was to complete this golden row from the very beginning. This team is constructed to win the entire thing, and they've done so much work to get to this point. T1 though, Faker said, all roads lead to him trying to stand between them and that huge achievement. Keria on the level 1 is going to lead the way with the Ash.
Sing taking so much damage, but now continuing to free fire to Keria. Keria has to be careful. Will he be forced to flash over the wall? For now, standing strong. 369 on the backside, has popped the Ghost. 1 Q stack going, but he can't really find an angle in. Has to be careful. Third stack missing incredibly low. Q through the creeps, trying to pick up some souls. Owner getting lower and lower. 369 for Zeus up to the side, but Owner getting burned down. Owner level 2, he flashes in. They get first blood. It's traded back. Knight running for his life now. 2 kills to the side of T1.
And T1 win the World Championship ARAM! Whoa! The level 1 ARAM goes 2-1 in the favor of T1 securing first blood.
We already had the Scrim World Championships. Now we have the ARAM World Championships
to be
as
fair,
well.
it is a RAR. It is all random, all rafters, not mid. Kobe, just technically, just to be fair.
And the funniest part is, it is the Raptors that actually solidifies it, because the moment that Owner hits 2, T1 feels the confidence. And I understand that JDG feel confident to take this, because again, I think Kalista and Senna in these level 1 skirmishes are incredible, but T1 is so ready, and the fact that they're able to secure the Raptors ends up being really big.
And look at all these extra autos from Guma and Keria. They're just poking them down. Missing gets
It's the range.
Chunked fully out by the double range bottom lane to double AD carry. And then Owner says, you know what? We're going in for this. He all-ins, goes for the flash W. They get the first blood plus the extra one.
And missing, dying there with his flash up as well is really painful, because that is so much gold going over very early on to Guma's Caitlyn and providing T1 with the early lead that they're looking for in this lane.
Also, Knight blowing his flash here in mid lane for the Orianna might be painful. Faker's gone for the Hail of Blades. This has been a rune choice that actually hasn't won that many games, technically. Faker was actually the guy that did win the game with Hail of Blades. But it does also put out more pressure early on in the lane phase than the Conqueror style. And now with Knight also not having flash, maybe there are some Owner angers here for the Maokai, setting up the saplings around mid lane for Faker to really play aggressively into Knight.
For now, 369 on the top side of the map, knowing he's relatively safe to do this, as Kanavi is shadowing him in the river. Can just clear out that wave, stay out of the individual 1v1 with Zeus. Owner moving in, laying down a little bit of vision here, going to contest this red. Remember, because he got that level 2, because he got that first camp, he really wasn't hampered at all from that level 1.
Oh, is it going to time out? Nope, will spot him. And there is double prio here for T1.
Smite.
Walking away, 700 health going in, not quite able to get it!
Owner.
Kanavi.
Early smite, Owner. Early smite there. Kanavi very happy to be able to grab that one back.
That's really big. A lot of time invested there for Owner without any real payoff. And 369 sees the enemy jungler is like, hey, I can proxy another wave with no problem, ensuring that he is able to maintain this early CS lead he's built up over Zeus.
We got the ARAM championships. We got Farming Simulator on the top side. This game has it all. Now we got a Maokai gank in the bot lane. Ruler has to be careful. Just barely gets around the trap. But Owner stepping forward. The cleanse isn't going to be enough. Walking in, one more onto the kick. Another flash in. Carrier seals the deal. Missing, trying to fire back with Carrier. Blinking.
Kanavi!
Kanavi looking for one.
That's
Bam!
one.
Knocked down. We've seen the scene in Arcane. You know exactly how this goes. Flash in, hits him with the fisticuffs, double kill. Going over to Kanavi.
Really good timing there for Kanavi to go back in. He waits out the barrier from Carrier, then flashes in, gets the extra kill. Kanavi pulling this one back for JDG.
And that's the gold lead for T1 now evaporated thanks to that timing from Kanavi.
Is really critical for Kanavi trying to save the game plan here for JDG, because that would have been devastating if Ruler went down, both summoner spells blown by Ruler as well, without any repercussions there. It would have greatly diminished the chances they could actually stack their dragons.
On the flip side though, Gumayushi actually was able to pick up so much more CS and maintained his summoners. Did not have to flash here as we take another look at that play.
Okay, so Owner trying to chase them, past the trap here, goes in, he gets the cleanse out first, and then Carrier waits for his timer, flashes forward to get the extra kill, but Kanavi, we know, coming around the outside, and he picks up the first one on Owner really nicely, then waits patiently, wards in the brush even though there is a control ward there, flashes in as soon as the barrier's over to get number 2.
Missing flashing in the backside there just to be careful. Ultimately, it's just kind of a mess on the bottom side. With some good kills traded back and forth there. Zeus level 6, but at a man disadvantage. We'll make it back. Darkened Blade just locking down Kanavi briefly as Zeus will just return to the top side already. 369 picking up some Thorn Mail. Bramble Vest, Red.
It's like, it feels like the first moment that we've had in this game where there is nothing happening, where we have a little bit of downtime. I don't know how long it's going to last, because Owner is already wrapping around. Does get spotted in a second here by Ruler, but
there's no downtime. There is only fighting. Owner on the bottom side of the rift. Carrier will back away. Just fighting to gain control of the lane. They've got no jungler in the area, but Missing just going to do what he can to clear out the saplings and try to protect the control ward. Will get taken away here.
And you can tell, they had no idea where Kanavi was, because that Ashe Hawk shot went to go over their own Raptors and Krugs to see if Kanavi was counter-jungling at the time, but Kanavi was on his way down towards that fight, down towards the bottom side, so Owner has to get out of there. They were very unsure and definitely respecting this 2-kill Vi now.
And after game number 1, where JDG was really put too far behind for them to showcase their team fighting, this game looking a whole lot different, right? Actually staying on even gold here early on in the game, and it's not like that top side isn't going to be a menace when it comes to team fights.
Kanavi on the way out, Missing getting slowed up. First the Black Mist coming through just to make sure he can get out to safety. I think it's an excellent point. Kanavi especially against a Hawk shot, against the Maokai sapling, still able to find those kills on the bottom side. Is a big credit to him, because it could be so tricky to remain undetected in the jungle against a composition like this. Level 6 though, taking over for Guma.
Yeah. While there are so many stars on JDG, Kanavi's been the one on the team for the longest with his 4-year tenure here, and is going to be a key component this time around, especially those junglers looking for their level 6s.
Oh, 369. Doesn't quite have the angle to get the pull back there. All right, walking up and grabbing the honey fruit. Will be spotted on the vision. But just there for a little bit of extra laning sustain, as 369 is going to do his best to pick up these creeps. Has the biscuit, so no concerns on the mana front. And I think the Kanavi angle is something that people have to appreciate and respect, because this is a guy that after his time in Griffin, it was kind of a question mark as to where his career was going to go. And those initial years on JDG weren't nearly as glamorous as this one has been. So the fact that he has stuck with this team through thick and thin, that the organization has stuck with him to reach this point against T1, is a testament to the tenacity of that player.
There is also just, even when JDG wasn't nearly as successful as they have been throughout this year, already so much talk amongst a lot of LCK junglers as well about the creativity. A lot of early meta developments were spearheaded by this player. And he is the one with the most gold on JDG right now. And we'll see what impact he can have in the skirmishes, because the follow-up CC on JDG is, I think, a really big part of how they want to play out these early skirmishes.
All right, Owner should get level 6 off these Wolves, I think, for the Maokai. And Kanavi's already starting up Rift Herald, so it should be a Dragon trade for the Rift Herald. I don't think T1 want to fight anything up on the top side of the map, and they'll be happy actually to trade these objectives. But that does mean JDG will have the extra pushing power and try and snowball here. Big gold injection from this Rift Herald, and already to a very rich Vi. They're going to have to make a very big Vi ultimate plus Shockwave play to make this worthwhile.
Also do note, and this is something in the last game Zeus got away with, because Kawan, he was mega fed as old. The gank
from 369, pushing for a bit more, but nothing going to come from it. Just an ult for ult trade. Vi stepping up, Kanavi ready to go. Just baiting out the Darkened Blade, however, Zeus to clear the wave and should be fine.
But as I was saying earlier, the fact that Zeus is going for this full lethality build, as Owner does get spotted, there is almost teleport available for Knight, so we'll see if a response is available here. Kanavi also making his way over. Just the fact that in the 1v1, Zeus is going to have so much less pressure than he did in the last game. It's going to force T1 to meet JDG in straight-up team fights.
Biggest power spike on the whole map right now, though, is Kanavi finishing Divine Sunder. With his 2 early kills and his Rift Herald gold and Vi ultimate ready, the power is in his hands here to turn the tides for JDG.
Zeus waiting till the last second to cancel the back. Does it now. Unstoppable from Cassante. Still gets pulled back. Not going to cost 369 much of anything, just delaying the recall. Trying to mess up the timings here. From the side of JDG, good news for T1 is that while it's not as dominant, Uma and Carrier have been able to grab a couple plates on the bottom side, the power of this pushing bottom lane. It will get harder, though, as we get later into the game, missing 38 souls. Every 20 souls, he's been getting 15 AD, 20 range, 10% crit chance. So despite the fact that he has almost no gold income as a support, Senna will become a threat eventually.
Outside of specifically the Ashe, though, and even Ashe obviously has a lot of value, but I do think she falls off as we get toward the late game. Oh,
Arrow?
Nice back cancel there. Thank you for that, Carrier. The rest of T1 still is a really big late game menace, but you are meeting JDG in their biggest comfort zone, which is going to be the team fights. We'll see if T1 is actually able to stack up the early Drakes here with Mountain and Hextech already out of the pool. We'll see what ends up being the soul, because if JDG is able to snowball with the use of that Herald, might be tough for T1 to find a similar grasp of control as they did in the last game.
And that recall interrupt is actually really big for T1. It's going to allow Guma to get at least 1 turret plate here, with Carrier helping him push. Maybe they go for 2. Maokai on the way as well.
Cleanse up and available for Ruler. Missing has to be careful about stepping too far forward. Faker in the area as well. The flash, potential to make some plays, but the response, Herald being dropped in the mid lane, at least 2 plates for Knight. If they want to commit, instead they're moving down into the river to maybe try to leverage the power of Kanavi here. Again, power spike's pretty limited. Obviously stronger than the Righteous Glory. Flash out from Kanavi. Traded for the ultimate of Faker. Overall, very positive trade for T1 coming to the next fight.
All right, let's see if that does get punished. There's a slight bounty. The only bounty in the game is on Kanavi's head, so no flash. Slightly higher chance here for T1 to collect it. But the mid turret plates kind of making up for the bottom side push there that T1 got. So JDG getting some money happily over there into the hands of Knight. The Orianna Shockwave in their hands this time around. See what they can do with it, because Kanavi's going to help him get another turret plate.
Alting, no one there to body block for missing. That could be disastrous. Carrier behind, Zeus behind as well. Kanavi going to be in trouble. Ruler now trying to run for his life, kiting this one out. Zeus keeping his eyes on the Callistas. Kanavi in the backside will find one. Knight with the Shockwave at least managing to lock down the trade kill.
This is huge for JDG. They did not teleport 369 in. That is a teleport cooldown for Zeus, and a 1-for-1 with both junglers going down. 369 gets to stay topside and get turret plate money.
Not only that, the shutdown went to Carrier. You'd really much rather have that on Faker or Gumayushi, but instead, JDG able to trade 1-for-1, killed the shutdown rather, doesn't even go to the ideal target for T1, and they're able to get plates towards the top side for 369 just before they fall off.
Patience from Zeus there on the return to lane. 369 waiting in the darkness, hoping to get more out of that trade. But we can take a look at how this play starts out. The aggressive use of the ultimate from Owner.
Yeah, they use the Maokai ult to lock them up. Zeus with the teleport down, and then they go for it. But look how they're able to focus down Owner on the other side. As a nice dodge there on the Ashe arrow. Goes 1-for-1, and with the extra rend, slow down here. They're able to kite away, keep T1 without getting too much damage dealt to themselves here on the side of JDG, and that means we're going to get some extra power spikes coming in as well. Knight very happily finishing up his Ludens, as is Faker.
Now, the one advantage that T1 was able to get is that Summoners are now down on Ruler and missing. Ruler still has his cleanse, but outside of that, does need to play a lot safer, and I think T1 are going to try and leverage that into getting the second Dragon here. We'll see if JDG have a response, because do not forget, if Zeus answers towards top, 369 can TP, but if Zeus doesn't answer, 369 might just be able to get a turret and further build the gold lead for JDG.
You can take a look at the MasterCard lane economy. It's the mid jungle for JDG versus the bot lane of T1 when it comes to relative leads, but T1 control mid prio, which means they control setup on the Drake, and it looks like JDG are going to respect that. Not looking to contest this one whatsoever. Do not have the vision, do not have the members in position. It will be a trade of the top lane tier 1 for the second Drake of the game to T1. Infernal Rift coming through.
Yeah, the top lane bar going to go a little bit further in the favor of 369 after that one, but it's not going to change too much how they want to play their team comp here. JDG actually have a trailing play in the works here with Kanavi coming down to look to pressure Faker off.
Kanavi is so damn strong. The Maokai not going to be effective because it's just not soon enough. Flash out from Faker is clean though. Knight takes at least one tower shot. The pushback Faker trying to make it out, and he will survive. JDG walking away empty-handed. No real wave to play around on that bot lane tower for now.
Will be able to, I think, at least get some damage down on the turret. Do get Faker's flash, but he does get away with his life. We'll see if T1 is able to find a counterpunch or if that is just gonna be it. 369 continuing to shove as well. Should be able to get a lot of damage down towards this turret. And now Herald being started up by T1. This is looking to be their answer, but 369, he is getting more and more gold.
He gets top tower, he gets bottom tower. Clearly after last game, JDG putting more effort into getting resources into the back pocket of 369. Staying even in CS, but getting so many plates, getting so much gold overall. Finishing his mythic item as well. T1 uncontested again. They took Drake. They've now taken the second Herald. It's been a smooth game so far in terms of objective control.
And the big thing here for me is that it's Infernal, right? It's Infernal Sawyer and T1 are up on Drakes, but they are falling further and further behind in gold. Faker doesn't have flash or his ultimate available.
It means there's a huge importance on getting your vision control leading up to the dragons, and whoever's going to be able to get there first. Because Gumayushi, with the Caitlyn traps here, trying to get to dragon first and cut off one of those angles, line up the traps, make it so much more difficult for this hard engaged comp of JDG that's much shorter range to actually close that range and get their engage. T1 definitely, a lot of the prep work will really benefit them around the dragon setup, but JDG, they've got a lot of angles to be able to force with.
Arrow going between the goalposts there. Not going to quite find the angle. Carrier clearing out as much vision as he can with the Umbral Glaive. Umbral Glaive versus Umbral Glaive. Vision denial, very easy for both sides of this game. But T1 just keeping the sieging pressure in their favor.
369's on the way, long flank.
Very long flank. T1 now going to need to start backing up. Owner stepping forward, using the ultimate. Maybe hoping to just generate space for the rest of the team, as Missing's going to pick up more and more souls. But the mid lane tower still standing for JDG. Both sides seemingly gearing up for a fight. Kanavi getting lower and lower. Ace in the hole will connect. Missing, or Kanavi rather, going to need to back soon. Not really a lot to play for in the mid lane, to be fair. Both teams seemingly just grouping up, ready for the potential of a fight. Zeus in the side lane, clearing out here in T1, trying to push their vision line forward. And you highlighted it, Kobe. Both sides want vision control, but T1 get it so much more easily with the Ashe, with the Maokai saplings.
Exactly. That setup does so much. When every brush has a sapling in it, and then every piece of land that's not a brush has a Caitlyn trap on it,
yeah,
it becomes very annoying to navigate.
Something we haven't talked about as much yet, we are starting to kind of see here, is that Owner is Maokai historically just hasn't been that good, sitting on like a 42% win rate over the year, and particularly at the start of the year where the Maokai Sejuani trait was basically every single jungle matchup. Owner Sejuani, great, able to play that very consistently, particularly when he can sync up with his top side, but his Maokai hasn't been super impressive, and I think that that is going to be a lot of the team fighting power for T1, as the arrow again doesn't find anyone as Owner.
Gonna dodge the abilities there, uses the phase rush to make it out to safety. Vault Breaker doesn't connect. T1 holding on for now, but JDG just fighting, just poking their heads into the enemy jungle. We'll see the sapling in the brush there as Faker returns to the top side just to clear out and keep pressure in the favor of T1.
Yeah, as far as the Maokai does go, I actually do really like the full tank phase rush style Maokai, since they do have an Azir on their team already. Don't need the extra AP damage from a Demonic. He might have a hard time here working his way through all these JDG members in the brush, though, lying in wait, just trying to catch any T1 member who gets close to this dragon setup. Because JDG know that is a #1 goal for them, trying to keep T1 out of that setup.
Certainly is. The other big thing to keep your eye on is item spikes. One item and some change for just about everybody on the Rift. See if anyone can hit their second item before we get into this third Drake. Baron on the table in 30 seconds, but I can't imagine either side will rush it. Instead, the Infernal, the center of attention, nearly perfectly synced timers on the major objectives.
And it doesn't look like we're going to see any other major item finishes. Ruler backed, but just a pickaxe and a longsword. Guma also just shy of his second item. And right now, T1 are moving into the river. The vision control still not too bad here for JDG. We'll see 369 also on a possible flank angle.
Ace in the hole used early just to chunk out Knight. And again, this is the struggle of the JDG lineup, is how do you gain control? No vision control, traps blocking one entrance, only one entrance left, meaning Owner has perfect setup for an ulti to kick this fight off. Arrow gonna connect first. Kanavi now locked up, brings it back into the rest of the team. Owner in the midst of everybody, and Zeus now on the way in. Kanavi still standing for now. Ruler pulling back his support, and now JDG looks to turn. Unstoppable is 369. They know that they've gotten what they came for. JDG now backing off. Do not want to overextend in the play.
This is huge. The entire front line from T1 has been deleted. JDG, what a successful turnaround in that fight.
It's Kanavi with the in-the-moment decision to turn around on Owner, and with the cooldowns down, no front line available, T1 isn't going to be able to get themselves to a soul point for this Infernal Soul, and JDG take control.
TP back in means first tower, or tower in the mid lane in favor of JDG, as well as the Infernal Drake. Faker going to be forced to run. And again, JDG, a massive threat. The later you get in the game, the more clean this team feels, and they're proving it again here on the back of the play from Kanavi.
I have to feel like that was a bit of a blunder from T1 frontline, just charging in instead of trying to play off of their extra range, their saplings, their traps, their poke. As soon as they get this Ash Arrow in the tri-brush, they've got the pop, and they go for it. Owner all-ins, and then they flash him back deeper into the team, and then Vi ultimate keeps Owner here just long enough, so even as he flashes, they're able to get the kill as Ruler is able to rend him down.
And particularly against the Orianna, you can't try and fight through that, right? Not even 369 joined the fight. At that point, I think it was already mostly over, but just the threat of that Orianna ultimate should be enough to dissuade T1. They try to bite off way more, knowing how important this dragon is, and end up paying for it dearly.
And you talked about the Sejuani for Owner being the superior choice from over the Maokai, and the big difference between these champions is oftentimes Maokai's engage tools are much better reactively than they are proactively. You saw it there. Yes, you hit so many people with the ultimate, but it's a very short root duration when you're that close, and your entire team completely zoned away by JDG's backline threats, unable to follow up on what initially might have looked like a pretty good engage.
And JDG's comp also is so strong when they can absorb an initial blow and then re-engage. Particularly with the Senna and the Orianna, it makes it really, really hard for T1 if they don't take down a target immediately.
Yeah, T1 definitely want to play it slower than they just played the last one, without rushing in so much. But because they did, and the extra gold that has gone over to JDG now, off of that mid-turret plate, and the dragon here for JDG, they're in such a much better position here to actually pull off this hard engage and chase them down. They've got Kanavi plus Knight combination ready.
And it's time to see what form are JDG in. We know this is their bread and butter, these states of the game where it seems close, where they've got these 2 item spikes and there are big objectives to fight around. T1 showed us what they can do with an early game lead with a massive advantage in their favor. If T1 are ready to fight fire with fire, to take it to these late game team fights, to out-execute a seemingly un-out-executable late game team fighting team.
And really big here as well is that Zeus hasn't actually been able to find the backline yet. And as we can see, 369 can just get prio on every single wave because Zeus doesn't win the 1v1. Didn't even go for Eclipse, right? This is just full-on Duskblade together with Edge of Night. So his ability to chew through a, I don't know how much armor 369 is sitting on, but it's going to be way too much for this Aatrox to deal with. Makes it really hard for T1 to gain control of the side waves.
Ace in the hole, not going to lead to much effect there. Command protect. Goes the body block from Kanavi, keeping Missing healthy. It's not an AP Maokai, as highlighted earlier, so the sapling's annoying most certainly, but more about the slow and the vision control. than any actual damage as Zeus using the Scryer's Gloom just to see if there's anything spotting him. Another aggressive engage here. Keria locked up though. Knight finds the shockwave onto one. The TP now coming in. That's 369 to the backside. Looking to isolate the rest of the team. One kill already going down. Guma off the rips. Keria running for his life. Kanavi continuing to step forward. Pullback coming in. JDG have brought T1 into the meat grinder. They are tearing through them effortlessly. But Faker now looking to fire back. Keria bleeding on the back line. Cannot do much more. JDG have taken the exchange.
And Kanavi going down means that JDG, I still see the pings towards Baron. They might have tried because Owner is dead. Doesn't have Smite, and they do have the Rend available.
Exactly. Rend is going to be more damage.
Double TP though. They might just want to force that out and back off.
TP coming.
Here comes Zeus.
Potential for a hero moment from Zeus from Keria. Can they turn this one back? A lot of blinking health bars, a lot of cooldowns missing. Zeus, no flash. Objective getting lower and lower. The Rend should just be able to finish it. They will grab the Baron, but T1 sticking around in the meantime, hoping to take the fight. Missing getting lower and lower, but he just got too much range, too many souls, doing too much damage. Faker goes in, but he gets absolutely nothing.
And JDG are one of the best teams at using Baron buff to end games. Let's see what they can get done with it. They're going to have a redirect all the way back to the fountain. Missing, going to brush that one off. But immediately, we saw Orianna, Knight there, went up to the top side to push the wave, and Orianna, Knight right here, gets a shockwave onto Keria, almost killing him, forcing the flash, forcing Faker to come over and peel, and this is where you get another counter-engage from JDG after T1 tried to chase.
And the big thing there is the moment that Guma is gone, there just isn't going to be enough damage. 369 able to isolate Owner, which even though we do see Kanavi go down, ends up being fine for JDG. They have the confidence to just trust this Kalista and the fact that they still have a front line.
And was so close there too. Zeus almost killed Knight, almost took down the Orianna, evening the kills up there, but he just barely was unable to. Knight was able to escape. Then they forced down the Baron. Missing there with the flash forward. Faker trying to take down Ruler, but then he's in the middle of all of JDG.
You can see the brief moment of joy in the replay there. JDG very much in control of this game, gonna grab their second Infernal Drake. See what they can get done with the Red Bull Baron power play. Already 2.5K in their favor. Expecting to break down some tier 2s here, but again, a lot of great defensive tools from the side of T1 to at least slow this push down.
All right, buying time for the split push here. Even though they're sacrificing turret pushes here to Baron, trying to get something back with those objective bounties popping off.
And if you're T1 at this stage, you're just going to do everything you can to hold on. 1 minute left on the Baron. You already took game 1 in style, just trying to hold on to some hope in this game 2 as JDG, again, this is their comfort zone. Pressing this lead forward, taking these fights, these confident re-engages. Ace in the hole again. Good damage onto Missing, but he can heal up a lot of that.
They just get 2? Nah, okay.
Particularly because it's Lethality Senna, right? So he's going to fire 2 Qs. He's going to be completely fine, and the damage hasn't actually been that meaningful. And from this point on, JDG, with the Red Bull Baron power play, should be able to, as we've seen already, 3K gold lead. Additionally, should be able to set up with the map controller they have now to get themselves to that Infernal Soul point. And there will be no one on T1 that can stand up to the amount of damage that's going to be output by this JDG comp in the team fights. Particularly once Knight finishes his death cap.
That's what I was looking at.
That's lights out.
That's what I was looking at. Double needlessly large rods already for him. Going for a recall now. Might even have some fine money. All right, they're going to continue to split push here. Sending 369 down to bottom side to catch Faker's attempt to get another objective bounty. You see Faker going for the bottom side turret objective bounty there, while the rest of JDG push top.
Should be pretty easy to tear through that tower at this stage of the game. So 369 there to pick up the CS. Won't be able to stop the tower take. JDG not afraid to walk up. 99 souls on Missing, about to have 100 extra range here. So you can continue to rain down auto attacks, rain down Qs, picking up so many souls as the tower drops there. Faker, though, taking the Scuttle Crab as well, just trying to guarantee a little bit of vision control over the area. 2.5 minutes on the Baron, 3 minutes on the Infernal Drake. Not soul for either side, but arenas for both teams to pick fights.
And now T1 is in a position where your only way of trying to get back in this game is Keria hitting an arrow, but if you look at the targets, really hard to consistently hit many of the members. 369 doesn't care, can catch any arrow. Kanavi can easily get out of the way. Same for Ruler. or you need to have Owner go in. But particularly with the build he's gone for and how far he's behind, he's not going to be able to take the brunt of that damage. So really, T1 just hoping that 369 overextend into a play, and there's a moment for our Faker or Gumayushi can take over a team fight.
Meanwhile, with all this money that JDG and Kanavi especially have gotten, is a Guardian Angel completed for the Vi. So he, as a jungler, can go straight headlong into the rest of the team, deliver that shockwave to the back line, and still be able to get up afterwards. Same can be said for Cassante. With the Gargoyle Stone Plate, 369 has been a very rich Cassante split pushing, getting these outer towers down for his team. And it's definitely going to be a problem for T1 as the JDG engage is massive.
Yeah, and for T1, you've kind of tried to pull the trigger twice. Owner throwing the ulti over the wall, Owner going in on the Vi, and both times it's worked against you, and you're kind of out of attempts. If you fumble one more engage, if JDG get the better of you in one more fight, it feels like it's just game over here in game 2 of the series. So has to count against the nerves of T1, knowing that the next one needs to be flawless if you want to mount a comeback.
And that's I'd argue that they've already run out of lives, right? Like the health bars are blinking, and particularly with the amount of summoners that are available for JDG, it's really hard to imagine a scenario where someone like Ruler, for example, gets caught at the start of a fight because he has so much innate safety. Missing can be pulled back by Ruler as well, as Knight does now finish his death cap. Gotta imagine that Baron and Soul Point next on the table for JDG.
Yeah, I mean, Kanavi, the Vi has a 3-level lead over the Maokai Owner here. It is definitely going to be a massive difference as far as this front line is concerned. And guess what? Baron and Dragon very close to both spawning here, only 10 seconds away on the Baron. JDG have teleport ready for both their solo laners, so they can pressure the side lane while also then drawing over to the objective.
Farsight Trinket keeping information on the Baron. Baker using the passive there to just try to get mid control. Again, all about this priority. Keria fishing with the arrow. It will not connect. Casual 226 heal from a Senna Q. That's fun. JDG, again, they have their choice. They have control right now, but T1 playing more up to the Baron, not worried about third Drake for JDG. Clearly much more worried about losing control on the Baron side. Kanavi going in, immediate start of the fight. Baker now locked up. The play does so much damage. Kanavi's early game lead put to good use here. The GA now coming out. T1, can they fight back? Zeus leaping in, will get Kanavi in the end. 1-for-1 thus far. Zeus going back under the Azir tower. The rest of T1 now need to barrel into the fight, but it's eyes on Knight. Can he get more damage down? 369 in the midst of everybody, and he's going all out into the back line. Only the support left standing.
Look at it! They're gonna push straight down mid.
And with 280 carries, there is no way that the Nexus isn't gonna fall, and JDG come back with a resounding victory here in game number 2.
Game 1 about Owner's early pathing, about the team play, but game 2 has been about Kanavi and the dominance of JDG in fights. But that said, as good as the fight was, as favorable as the fight was, JDG do not think that they have time to close the game out and will set their sights on the objective
A little
instead.
ahead of myself.
Yeah.
They should still be fine.
We've seen them end a lot of games really quickly. Faker's up though. They're gonna respect it. Pull back and grab Baron buff instead. But JDG, such a massive lead after that T1 wipe here with the Baron buff. Baron empowered recalls will allow them to reset too. And you see T1 trying to make a rush towards this Dragon. I wonder what Kanavi has to say about it. Knight here is up as well. And they're just going to use the Baron offensively. Pressure immediately, teleport back out. They already have mid inhibitor down. They're not going to let T1 any window to go for a Dragon.
Yeah, really good map read here from JDG. They know T1, given that the Baron is being taken by JDG, is naturally going to try and contest that objective. Not going to be the case. 369, I don't think he really cares. And
blocks the arrow.
he, to me, is the pivotal part, right? He had such a rough Rumble game in game number 1. And this Cassante is what we expect to see coming into this series.
Firing back certainly in game 2, got more support, got more time alone to farm up, and you can see why he's considered the best team fighting top laner in the world. Has been such a menace on the backline in these exchanges. Kanavi, no GA available, but still damn tanky. Missing has to be careful though. As much damage as he does, he's still incredibly squishy. Kanavi threatening, JDG threatening, just trying to force these waves forward, maybe get another inhibitor on the top side. The wave's not quite synced, bot wave not there, 369 again. Lives to body block Ace in the hole.
It's so hard here to kill 369. Guma doesn't have a Lord Dom, so it's only Faker that maybe eventually can shoot through.
Arrow onto Kanavi. JDG backing away. They don't want to overstay for the fight. But the Shockwave, a looming threat from Knight, level 17, Death Cap, Shadow Flame. He and Kanavi work together. It's a death sentence for T1, no doubt. JDG just backing off. They got what they came for, 2 inhibitors. Now, finally, they will turn their attention to this Drake. The map is theirs. They'll do things when they so please, and 369 doesn't take damage.
I'm pretty sure he was gaining health during that. But it is going to be the secure of all the neutral objectives. The 2 inhibitors down. JDG methodical here.
Missing will take exactly 1 soul from the Drake. Finds it canonically incorrect that it drops 2.
All right, return to the bottom side. Keep up the Baron empowered pressure. Gumi usually trying his best here to put up these Caitlyn traps, put a stop to the onslaught. But JDG overwhelming.
Ruler off to the side, unafraid. Carrier, arrow back up.
Final inhib.
Again, ball breaker charge every time Kanavi goes for the angle. T1 forced to back up just a little bit more. But it's just slow, it's methodical, it's controlled. JDG, Knight pushing in the bottom side. Double cannon minions, 1 will be cleared away. 23 seconds left on the Baron. Can they break open this bot lane tower? Traps are there. 369 solo zoning off as meanwhile Kanavi just walks in with the Baron empowered minions just to threaten the Nexus. JDG, their chokehold on T1 and they're starting to squeeze T1. Not a lot of options left, but the arrow going wide, potentially the last glimmer of hope. Now fading in this game too, Missing taking a big chunk of damage here. No wave, T1 still able to clear it. Finally bot wave now coming in. It feels like an inevitability, but it's not over till it's over. T1 ready for 1 potential final fight. Zaya's poking off to the side still. Has a bit more armor pen now. Can start to hurt 369. Ulti coming out from Owner. Faker looking for an angle here, just gonna get a bit more poke down, but again, JDG are too composed, they're too controlled, they will not take the bait, they will walk away, knowing that victory is inevitable as long as they do not make a mistake.
And this is about as secure as you can go, right? You want to ensure that you don't somehow give an opportunity to T1 to get a miraculous team fight, like a multi-man shuffle into Zeus, knocking people up, trying to blow up your backline. Because as you say, as long as you don't do that, as long as you play it out safe, you are going to get Infernal Soul in about 2 minutes. Yep. You'll be able to get the Baron as well. You can win this game without ever fighting, which I, as an LCK caster, really appreciate.
And what we've learned, if nothing else, is that the Golden Road has some pretty strict speed limits here in these late game scenarios.
I think with 3 inhibitors down, you can just go into their base, and as long as you respect the engage and the Ash Arrow, you should be able to just use the pressure to wear them down. T1 are going to get very desperate here. They have no territory to work with. With double super minions coming down every single lane, is a multiplicative effect. They buff each other up. You just have to wait in there and not give an engage opportunity. Have to be a little bit careful about that one.
The good news is,
but Zeus is behind. They're going for it. T1.
Looking for the angle. Missing could be in trouble here. Zeus on the backside looking to lock up, trying to take down a bit more damage. Infernal Chain's not going to be very effective. Knight going golden. Has a bit more space. Kanavi now on the way in. In goes Kanavi. And that should just be it. T1 holding on for dear life. Faker uncontested on the backside. Gumichi going golden, but he is going to go down. The flash out will not be enough. GA up just in time to keep Kanavi standing. It's a clean ace in the base of T1 as JDG will move on and close out game 2.
It's a textbook game from JDG. And to me, it's the top side that made the difference. 369 with a much better game, but Kanavi in particular, the hero of the early game. Him and Knight securing these mid-game team fights, and once JDG has a hold, they don't let go.
Beautiful re-engages there from JDG. When T1 try and make that pick and try rush, they turn it around on them. They get the dragon, they get the extra money back in. They punish these T1 moves.
And 2 strong wins from both sides. Different wins, most certainly, but we're going to have to see what it looks like as we get closer and closer to game 3. For now, we're going to send it to a quick break. When
comes time to 5v5, Azir I really like. Rel to they have the initial engage. These are 2 ADs without dash. You have that start, you have that follow-up there from the Azir, and it's something that can put pressure on them. So as long as they can now draft from blue side a strong 2v2, a support that is going to be really powerful for carry to keep them relevant in the lane, I think they're going to be set up really well.
Relevant?
There's also an opportunity here to go for a strong mid jungle, right? You can take the Wukong here, but if you don't ban away the Sylas, I think you can go for Sylas here for Knight as well. Knight is a phenomenal Sylas player, and you set up for what could be a case of, hey, we're going to steal away some of these big ultimates, try and use that as the setup, and I think that's where you could try and play through both strengths in mid jungle and bot side.
And I think now JDG have to target the supports. You have to target what you think is going to come out from Keria. They're actually thinking a very aggressive option. I was thinking when the Varus Ashe came through that it was going to be a range support. I think that is going to be coming out. Something like the Renata even, especially when you're playing against Wukong and hard engage, I think Renata can be very, very valuable. It is a great pairing alongside, what we've already seen. So I'm expecting Renata to get banned as the last ban here from JDG, or I would be kind of shocked.
Yeah, and it's interesting that this is the game that JDG are pulling out the Wukong for Kanavi, right? Because we did talk about the Vi in the first 2 games.
I like this way more.
Those were Wukong angles for JDG as well. The 3 of us were talking behind the scenes. So I also like, and it is his signature pick, right? It's a pick, again, if you've been watching the LPL domestically, you do not give Kanavi this Wukong pick, so it's nice to see him back on that. And then Bard banned out for Keria. Another thing
it's
that
gotta
they
be
don't
Renata
want to play
then,
against.
though, no? Like, because if you're showing Wukong, the one thing you are showing is hard engage, right? So you have to have some sort of a dive buddy alongside it. Wukong doesn't really work as solo dive. So I just feel like it's such a strong Renata angle for T1, and I'm a little bit worried that JDG maybe overlooked that. Yeah, the Bard is strong because it's low mobility ADs, but it's a weaker laner than the Renata, and I think Renata is going to set up Gumayushi for success in the 5v5s.
Especially when, as we were talking about, they already banned the Akali. I think they're probably looking at a Sylas, and if you then go even more heavy into that time, that could be the angle. So maybe this is the pivot going, hey, look, we're going to take the Talia. In theory, works well against the Kalista, and then it makes it a little bit easier for us to not fully have to go in towards this. We're just going to be melee range with you.
It's so interesting because the other side of the angle is maybe that JDG think, okay, even if Renata's good in 5v5, we can pound it in lane so they can't go it, right? And so now that's the evaluation that T1 has to make, and they're going to buy themselves a little bit more time to actually choose. It could also just be Rel support, and we could be kind of getting baited, but we're going to have to find out what that final pick is, and does T1 think that something like Renata can survive the lane and punish it?
To me, it's just going to be the Renata,
This feels so obvious because it's such a strong pairing with the Kalista. Again, I think you need a dive buddy with the Wukong, so I think JDG have kind of telegraphed what they're doing in the draft a little bit too hard, and I almost don't care what JDG pick on 5. I favor T1.
Yeah, I mean, I also think another thing that we haven't mentioned yet, but obviously this is Zeus's massive blind pick, right? He's like, Aatrox. That's fine.
Renekton,
I'll take it.
Oh boy.
The red side advantage, oh no!
I saw Dagda wince as soon as the Renekton hover
It's not what you want from your red side draft?
I mean, this is exactly, 369 has played this matchup already and lost hard to Keen. He couldn't get control over the matchup, and they end up falling super far behind. And then, as well, Renekton falls off so much harder than Aatrox does. If you can't make this pick work, it just falls off a cliff after 15 minutes in comparison to Aatrox.
Me, red side, the whole advantage is counter pick. If you told someone that it was Renekton versus Aatrox top, you wouldn't know which one picked blind.
True.
Okay, so we have Azael, who's heavily favoring T1. He doesn't even care about the top lane.
I don't care!
Emily, do you agree?
Well, I like a lot of the answers that T1 have. I'm also really curious to see what they'll do level 1.
Okay, let's see.
I think a huge portion of this game depends on Knight. If you can try and separate out these team fights, that could be an angle for them to actually try and attack. Otherwise, I think T1 are in a really good spot.
All right, let's see if blue side continues to reign supreme or if JDG break that trend. Back to the casters.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Getting into game now, looking at these drafts, of course. You heard it, T1, more conventional. Feels like the safer draft overall, maybe stronger overall as well. But see what JDG can do in this matchup.
I mean, Renata Kalista has been pretty dang good at this tournament, and having the ability to have such a wide-ranging counter-initiation tool here, not only the Renata, but also the Azir. There's so much flexibility on the T1 side. Definitely does seem like they got a good setup. But the Talia here, we'll see how much work Knight can do. That rock field can be super annoying with so many champions having dashes here. See if JDG can try and snowball.
And what I want to highlight as well is that we have already seen the blueprint for what a win of both of these two teams like. I think T1 are always going to look for early leads, whereas JDG are looking for the mid-game fight.
And you can look to connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive Braum W emote. You might have some time here because T1 seem uninterested in contesting this 5-man level 1. Instead, they will play some counter vision on the top side of the map.
I mean, I always love this, going for the level 1 invades, the priority here. First 2 games, T1 super lopsided for the level 1s. Really, really big openings for them, even though they ended up losing game number 2. But this one, JDG take matters into their own hands.
Oh, they do have vision.
Kill it, okay.
Yeah. And of course, it's really tough to fight level 1, especially against Hail of Blades Varish, Hail of Blades Ashe. Incredibly powerful level 1 overall. Yes, Kalista is strong, but the raw burst damage is big. Of course, Owner has been spotted out. Faker now on the way in. The call has been made. Potential 5v5 in the brush. Owner being chunked down here. The top laners will lane, but everyone else here.
I don't think you can do this really as T1 unless there's massive damage sustained from the red buff, because Talia is so good level 1 also. I don't know what. They're just kind of watching here.
T1 here to spectate how JDG take a red buff. They do it well, T1 learn, and are forced to walk away. A bit of a disastrous level 1, all things considered, because now Owner, is he even going to be able to grab level 2 here? No.
Nice, Kanavi takes away a bunch of the small ones here. But yeah, I mean, not only the Ashe Varus, but also the Talia over Azir in the level 1, big priority there. And it means that JDG accomplished their goal. They can split the map for this bottom lane that has been crucial.
And we are straight up back to spring. We're just healing level 1 to try and gain control of the wave. And it is Ruler and Missing that are able to get the early lead.
And it's very concerning if you're a T1 fan right now, because there is no cleanse in this bottom lane. Yes, you have the bailout, but when level 6 rolls around with the Ashe, with the Varus, the setup is so easy on the bottom side. Gumayushi has to be very careful.
Level 2 Wukong tower dive. I don't know about the sound of that, but they've got a big wave. T1 are still level 1. Can Guma and Keria try and snipe some minions to get level 2?
Trying as quickly as they can to lock down some of these to level 2 now going in. Kanavi, good damage down onto Guma. Ruler flashing out of safety, ticking and burning, but he will stay standing. Missing! Gets taken down! Keria! A godly play to hold on to the bottom side!
At the same time though, Guma, the one that you want the kills, you want the minions on, it's sitting on 1 CS!
JDG trip over their own feet here though in the bottom lane. They try and dive it. The level 2 advantages, but Keria comes up huge on the Renata.
Damn. That is the corporate takeover right there, man. This man not allowing anybody to get through. Out of all the 4 champions in the bottom lane, if you told me Renata got the double kill, it's the least likely one for me to believe you. But that said,
and he's gonna get he got all the minions at the tower afterwards too. So there's gonna be a bunch of extra experience. We're actually gonna see a support higher level than AD carry this game because of the kills, because of the big minion wave that was stacked up there. That's another thing when you're going for these early tower dives. A big part of why you do it is trying to deny those large minion waves, and Kanavi's back again. All right.
Yeah, because this wave state is so doomed for T1. They need to try and fix it, but they don't know where Kanavi is. And I love this because there's nothing for him to gain on top of the map. You know Owner is going to invade that side, but unless Owner makes his way down,
no flash.
They gotta.
Carrying no flash, and this Giant's Belt is good, but he's slowly getting chipped away. Kanavi in the area, just shadowing in case the gank does come through. Happy with this lane state for JDG.
And I think the thing here is, I don't know, they don't know where Owner is. And if you do get caught up in a 3v3, can go either way. And bailout in those situations can be really big.
Now, though, after they've been able to push it out, they should be fine here. Retreat back to your Krug skill. The red side jungle camps have respawned. And here's another look at how they started it out onto Gumayushi. And they do get him, but Keria had immediately gone over for Ruler there. Missing flashes after the second, or the extra tower auto was already in the air, so he dies even after flashing, and Keria is able to take down the kill on Varus as well, regardless of cleanse.
Yep. The handshake was a bit too firm there for JDG. we're not a fan of that one.
He's got a firm grip.
Man's got some strong forearms. Put him in there.
Man, look at the CS though. 43 for Ruler to the 16 now of Guma trying to scrape together those minion waves. Keria, of course, got a bunch of the experience from all those minions that was there, but denying them to the Kalista, to that snowballing AD Keria. definitely huge.
It's also Kanavi who picks up the kill, and particularly on his Wukong, this man has been able to carry so many team fights, and him getting an early lead is going to be really big. So even though Keria was able to pick up the kills, I think you're still very happy with that play as JDG. Just means that Keria should be getting to what I assume will be a Radiant Virtue very early on. We'll see if he's able to utilize that in some of these mid-game fights that surely are going to erupt around the possible dragons. Although this first one with the tempo as it is, wouldn't be surprised if Owner is able to pick this on. They have mid lane prio, bot lane prio as well.
Kanavi on the top side as well, so not much of an angle to contest on this one. JDG will know what's happening, but they're not going to burn any resources. Instead, content to give up the Chemtech. See what the soul is going to be this time around. We're going to need to wait for one more dragon at least, however. And right now, in terms of gold, JDG are sitting pretty. T1, obviously, the big boon they got on the bottom side. Lackluster in the grand scheme of things, even if it did look good to see Keria get the double.
Gotta say, though, last time, Kanavi getting some early kills worked out pretty well for JDG. And he is on his signature Wukong. Him and Levi are the two junglers worldwide that did not give up on this champion, even after the jungle nerfs to Wukong came in. And at World so far, 7-1, the record for Wukong.
Yeah. And I mean, especially if you're going to get to that Divine Sunderer spike sooner, we talked about what Vi can do with it. Wukong can do like 10 times more, and that is very concerning for the side of T1. They need to be clean in their execution and careful around the potential level 6 plays from this JDG lineup. The Wukong, the Taliyah, their ability to move around and set up these walls could be incredibly disruptive for anything T1 try to do.
There's also, which we haven't really discussed yet, and I don't think it's as strong as it once was, but Renekton and Taliyah is such a lethal combination when you get to the mid-game fights. And we do see that 369 in isolation has been doing a really good job of using the early power of the Renekton to keep Zeus on the back foot. And T1 haven't really shown yet that they're able to win a game where they don't get the early lead after the team fighting from JDG in game number 1. And right now, it doesn't look like T1 have found any early angles in this game outside of the dragon specifically.
Have to see what it looks like as we get closer and closer to fights. Herald spawning in 5 seconds here. For now, topside pressure in favor of JDG. See if they try to level it as Kanavi is currently clearing out the wolves. 369 going all in with the dominus here. It looks like just trying to get some pressure. Threat of the all-in not quite there yet. Forcing out the World Ender from Zeus, and the flash coming out from 369, respecting the potential follow-up there on the Darkened Blade.
Yeah, really good movement there from Zeus, using his ultimate with the burst of speed and the extra space there. Goes back in, forces the flash solo. I mean, Zeus has really had some good advantages so far. Let's see, though. JDG will take the opportunity here to slip on in as we call up Keria, the real powerhouse of the bottom lane.
A level 6 Keria, courtesy of the early play, has the XP advantage, missing, trailing behind, but isn't going to do a lot. Ruler, however, looking for the all-in in the 1v1. Gumayusi, nice flash to get away from the piercing arrow and the 3 stacks. In the meantime, fight on the top side, 369 and Knight comboing together, catching out Faker. Kanavi getting one, and spin goes the monkey. The Cyclone coming through just in time to keep the fight going, but Zeus is not down yet. Zeus looking to fire back. JDG could be in trouble, missing, not firing forward. He's got level 6, but does he have the mana? The Herald does drop in the end. Knight still standing. The flick back is clean. Flame's living, missing. He gets the kill. He gets the red buff. Keria now running for his life. Flash over Knight to safety. Still standing, ticking down, backing. Hostile takeover will not connect. Handshake will not connect. It's an absolute mess of a fight on the top side.
But in the end, it is T1 that pick up the Herald. They'll get that, but outside of that, as you're saying, so many summoners being blown. Kanavi, 369, Knight missing. And Zeus as well, Faker as well. All these cooldowns will be down for the upcoming fight.
Oh my god, it was so messy. And Keria was holding his spells for so long just for the ultimate and the handshake at the very end not to even connect there. He did pick up the kill for T1, and he picked up the Eyeball Herald, though, and he's got a bounty on his head now. 300 gold on the back of that support player.
This is lore-accurate Granada that we're seeing here for Keria, bringing in all the gold for himself. But if we look at this fight, it starts off with Faker already getting blown up by that Taliyah and Renekton combo.
And then you see the focus here onto 369 from T1 side. They do get him. As they're trying to chase him off here, Keria still holding his ultimate. They feel like they've got Kanavi dead to rights. They pop the Herald here. Owner's able to grab that one before he goes down. And then Keria can actually go pick up the eyeball even with the red buff missing in his face. Ooh, Knight actually barely surviving and his flash gone as well.
And it's actually the smite on the Herald that gives Owner the level up, which allows him to then Magnet Storm and stay alive for a little bit longer. Otherwise, that could have gone way worse. But it is still JDG that pick up the lead right now. Zeus doesn't have flash available, and Kanavi going to be looking for a dive here. No reinforcement for T1.
Ulti up and available for the Wukong. Waiting, buying his time. Extra healing coming in, but Zeus is going to get a chance to use it, holding on for now, but immediately 369, finding the kill. JDG, a successful dive on top.
All right, what is going to be the answer on the bottom side of the map? They send Rel down there, but look, JDG have already pulled their bottom lane all the way back from the tower. They had the controller in there in the jungle to see them come for the invade as well. As Dragon is spawning, JDG are getting turret plates on top side.
There's also Knight who already rotated over, knowing that a dive could be in the works. But with Talia shadowing towards that side, can't actually do it. So T1 will get a Drake, but they're paying so heavily for it.
And JDG do have an Ash Arrow angle plus a Varus ultimate, but looks like they don't want to do it without Kanavi having his ultimate available for the Wukong. So they'll give up the objective in exchange for the huge bounty of gold on top side. So many turret plates taken off of that dive.
And the thing we have to keep our eye on now is where is this Herald going to go? In the back pocket of Carrion, not ideal. He's not going to be able to move between every lane in the same way that Owner would, but might shift his attention to the top side of the map as he starts to wander up there now. Owner coming in tow right behind him. Might try to break the top lane matchup open. And Zeus, some incredibly dominant performances on this Aatrox in the quarterfinals, continuing to go for the lethality route. His bread and butter, see what he can get done.
It's also, again, Kanavi having such a big impact and utilizing these early kills extremely well. This is a level 10 Renekton. Doesn't have Dominus, but does have Gore Drinker available. And Kanavi's on his way.
I really feel like Wukong has been the most underrated pick at Worlds so far. T1 are going to go for the dive. Kanavi's going to try and answer.
TP now coming in, 369 staying alive for now. No dominance, the Gore Drinker healing now coming in, but Zeus goes in just in time. Hostile takeover will not connect on the real Kanavi. They're still focusing on Zeus. The bailout will not be enough, and they'll kill Kanavi, not quite! Shattering Strike, a bit more damage going through, but at the end of the day, it's Fizzle. They get the kill on the top side, 1-for-1, top laner for top laner, but it's missing, and Ruler looking to extend their lead on the bottom side. Herald now dropped, trying to give gold to Faker.
And they do spot Kanavi there. Faker should be able to, at the very least, benefit from some of the gold that is going to come through here. But it's still JDG who are able to get this bot side lead and make it even bigger. Look at the gold lead here. We're looking at almost 1K advantage for Ruler.
Well-executed defense on the top side for JDG. A character down, and they still get the 1-for-1 trade, plus allow for the extra money here.
And remember that coming into today, JDG were the only team in the top 4 with an average gold deficit at 15 minutes in the game. They were not a powerhouse landing team, but today the story's starting to change. And we can see T1 going for the play here is missing, throws out the arrow, and we can see how this unfolds.
And it is actually the arrow that ends up being big because Zeus otherwise can just get out there, might be able to survive, and then T1 can take a big win, then use their threat and try and play for a Herald play afterwards, but instead, they're not able to take down Kanavi. They don't get the bailout resets, and it's JDG that gets out ahead.
A really good Kanavi clone there.
Kanavi now going in the arrow just around the corner. The bar assault's going to be there as well. Keep your eyes on Ruler. Where is he going to throw it? Owner trying to break the play out. Guma keeping his support alive. Does not want to give over the 3-0 shutdown to the side of JDG, but JDG keeping the pressure up, keeping their eyes on the tower. Will focus down that objective.
Yep, the damage is enough for them to take down the tower. Kanavi invested his ult, he invested his flash to escape, not give over the extra kill. Their counter jungling is also successful. They are on a roll here. JDG taking over.
And after how game number 2 went, it's hard to imagine how T1 can stand up to this team fighting power. The early game has been exceptional, but particularly with a composition where you have the Kalista, that is, as we see here in the lane economy snapshot, 900 gold behind. It becomes so hard to play out these mid to late game fights, and the only gold is on Carrier, which, you know, he's going to feel great about, but T1 as a whole not so much. And we start to feel, again, this game kind of slipping away as we get to the fight at Herald.
And crucial that T1 have been able to grab the first 2 Drakes. They have not gotten nothing in the early game. Getting a third, moving up to Soul Point on a Cloud Soul, feel pretty good. But I don't think JDG are going to give them an angle. They're so far ahead now, they don't have to concede much. Of course, not in a great position. Yeah, I was going to say, not in a great position to contest this Herald. And that's why I didn't say concede nothing. I said concede much, because they will have to give that one up. See if the same is true of the Drake, Mr. Laffy.
Yeah, who's laughing when JDG come to town? Honestly, I want to see about the monkey on the top side here, because Kanavi's going for a lane gank. Was he just covering a possible play here? Because they did get Rift Herald alert, so they know, and it's kind of just allowing for the possible play here to counter.
As Ruler snipes that, I think, snipes the scuttle away from Owner, not able to pick that one up. That actually is going to be really big, because in 40 seconds, T1 have a basically must-win fight where they set themselves up for Soul Point. It allows you to play towards the top half of the map with much more freedom, allows you to give up maybe a dragon so that Zeus can get an inner and get back in a position where he can actually threaten the backline of JDG. We'll see if T1 is able to get the fight, because if you look at the cooldowns that are available on JDG, it becomes really, really hard to consistently lock someone down, even with the power that Rel has.
I want to see, since T1 have been able to get early access into the river here, Renata can shine. If you get an ultimate, you can cover either one of these entrances into the river, and JDG right now are funneling on through. They're going to be forced into one of these kind of confined areas.
Ruler zoned away from this choke point here, has a bit of vision just to spot out the T1 lineup. T1 now trying to take control of the mid lane. JDG have pushed in through the bottom lane. Zeus clearing that wave out, but the poke from Ruler are going to start to hurt if they take too long. Need to pick their moment aggressively. JDG now, again, moving in, fighting slowly, diligently. Eyes on Keria, eyes on the hostile takeover to maybe be the difference maker in this fight. Zeus on the flank, Faker over the wall. Objective getting lower and lower. The Weaver's wall coming out, isolating Owner. Might go for the 50-50, but it's absolutely Psycho flashes over the arrow. Faker goes in! It's incredibly clean. JDG with the counter punch. Can they get anything back? Ruler untouched on the backside. Dragon still standing, but Owner will take that away too. My God, what an engage from T1!
Owner, you magnificent beast! What in the world? He makes the engage happen, and he secures the dragon. T1. Whoa! My favorite story about Owner too is that his name is actually Wonder, because he has so much pride in being on T1. Owner, Zeus, and Gumayushi, they came up, all of them, through the T1 system. Rookies and Academy, all the way to the main roster, and look at this, all the way to the world stage, over the Ash Arrow. Him and Faker get the double initiation and wipe those JDG members off the map.
And we see the value of the Renata come through yet again. There is no counterpunch for JDG. Not able to actually re-engage there. Can't assist Kanavi as he tries to get on the back line. And now, gold almost equalized here.
You can see Busan come alive. No surprise to say that T1 are the local favorites here. The gold within touching distance. And now T1 have set themselves up on Soul Point, a crucial fight. Just getting the dragon would have been good enough, but they take the whole thing. They even up the gold and suddenly got quite the game on our hands.
This series is so fun. These team fights are so good from both sides. Last game, JDG pulling out some miraculous moves, some clean movement from Ruler. This one though, man, that engage over the top. Faker and Owner from different angles.
And I think big for Owner. After kind of a lackluster game two, in a game where Kanavi is pulling further and further ahead. Individually though, he's still quite weak. 369 slices, he'll get no dice. And he'll be forced to walk out of this one. Good patience from Owner.
The juke, the sense they know the danger is there. He jukes him back.
Can SCP.
Lock up there. Carry taking a big chunk of damage. Red buff taken away this time by Owner. See who else on T1 wants to go for this one. T1 regaining their composure after a pretty difficult early game. Knight will take a tower on the top side of the map. JDG holding on to a gold lead, but T1 feeling a lot more confident coming into the next dragon fight, 2.5 minutes away. Baron spawning in 4 seconds. Both sides take it pretty quick, although the lethality Varus actually puts a pretty big damper on any hopes JDG has for bursting it down.
And, oh, Zeus?
Going in on a Ruler. Ruler caught shopping! Oh no! And he gets the dust blade, it's too damn clean! Kanavi trying to get something back, but it might be too little, too late. The flick back coming in. T1 see their window of opportunity. Berserk, both ADs just hitting each other. Knight now now running. T1 taking the exchange. They can turn right towards Baron.
Kanavi has no health. That's the ruler spot. That man has been caught there so many times. And now T1 trying to start up the Baron. We'll see if they can take it. Kanavi, he's healing up, trying his best.
You try to clone over the wall. The Weaver's wall through the midst of everything.
Their vision.
T1 focused on the objective. They have the Ren Smite combo. There is no reason they should give this up, but Kanavi might just be able to take it. They're now trying to burst it down. The push over the wall doesn't connect, but it does not matter. T1 get the objective. Kanavi into the pit, and he will get taken down. 369 forced to run for the hills, and T1 have turned the game on its head.
369 running for his life, but Zeus is here.
Look for the slice. Trying to double dash through one. Not able to get the second. The Q3, the Darkened Blade cutting down. But now Ruler, maybe he can get more in the fight. Ruler now running down Zeus. Owner now running. Ruler trying to make up for the previous mistake. JDG looking to take the fight. Owner overstaying, over commitment. Baker hit by the arrow. The fight doesn't stop. T1 hold on to the Baron, but JDG fire back.
And it is 369. The Crocodile stays alive throughout so much there. It's a negative Red Bull Baron power play. And more importantly, it might inhibit T1 to actually set up for the Soul, whereas normally that should happen 100% of the time. Look at Knight, the amount of damage he does, the double knockback, and then T1, they win the subsequent fight, but they go too far.
Yeah, look at Guma and Karia's health so low here, trailing on the backside, while the rest of the T1 members trying to play off pressure, trying to chase down the Crocodile. Knight and Missing come in, Karia gets deleted from the outside, and then Ruler here peeling for 369, keeping him safe. 369 baiting him in, Q healing on the outside, then the stun onto Faker almost was enough to chain into the seismic shove, but not quite enough. They just get his flash.
And there was a big miscommunication because Faker was backing while the rest of the team was like, oh, it's fine. We got 369, and they most certainly did not. But T1 still have the Baron buff available and should be able to set up for the Soul Point.
Flash available on Knight. Potential for playmaking is big. Kanavi caught out. Zeus trying to run him down. T1 taking control of the area. Eyes on the Soul. Their #1 prize, but both carries are flashless on the side of T1. They have to play flawlessly. If they miss position even once, it could cost them. Missing's ult up and available. The Ashe can find an angle, it can all fall apart. Zeus caught out a bit here, forced to retreat. Dragon, objective, getting lower. Weaver's wall, bringing Knight into the fight. The entire team split. Arrow going wide. That's massive. 369 going to the pit, trying to isolate and take out the jungler. T1 now need to turn. It's the hostile takeover connecting. Who can get the objective? And the steal coming through in time for Kanavi, but the fight is not done. Missing on the backside. Vulnerable on his lonesome, but JDG pulling back slowly. Surely they have no jungler, but they have the objective. T1 desperate to get more. They know they need to get something here. Pushing in. 369 over the wall. Knight continuing to poke. It's diligent. It is controlled. 369 now going in, forcing out the ultimate. Missing has been caught out. Missing will go down. The flash buying a bit more time, buying a bit more space, but he will get killed. It is only a matter of time. Zeus finishing up the fight. At the end of the day, JDG gets the Drake, even if T1 get the consolation prize.
Successful heist for JDG, because not only do they deny the Soul, and are they able to get themselves towards more dragons, but additionally, and the most important part, the Baron buff is now gone. T1 actually weren't able, because of the topside play, and then this fight, to utilize their buff to get more objectives.
All right, keep your eyes on Kanavi. He sacrifices his life to go in here and steal the dragon and deny the Soul. They're trying to focus on Owner. 369 goes for him. They stun him, they seismic shove him, they keep him out. He smites early, down to the 300-something HP there, and then Kanavi's able to get it, but Kanavi just pops in the middle of T1. The sacrifice. And then they kind of get kited here and chased down, and you know, in the end, T1, they all turn their sights towards Missing on the back. Kind of respect it from JDG though. They're trying to kite them out and poke them down, even with 4 members here, but the Kalista ultimate means they're going to get the full engage onto that Ashe. Missing has no mobility.
And what is really big is that Missing actually ends up flashing there, because at that point, I think JDG had already won the play. Missing trying to get more, ends up backfiring, because Ashe in particular, when Faker has his flash available, is a sitting duck for an Azir shuffle.
Absolutely is. Missing maybe now caught out again, just as you call it, Chronicler. But Kanavi in the meantime just trying to isolate Zeus. He needs to be careful though, because the rest of T1 is now coming in. Missing running for the hills, but he surely will go down. Faker grabbing the kill. 369 being forced out of the pit. Locked up. Cloud Rift taking him out to safety. T1 Finding the kill onto Missing, but not a lot else. Priority in their favor. They're going to get mid first. They're going to get push 1 minute and 30 to the Baron.
And the main goal here is going to be to try and get control of the Baron, force JDG to face check. And JDG not having control, a lot of their poke from the Taliyah, from the Lethality Varus, isn't going to be nearly as easy to hit. And it takes away a large part of power for this JDG composition.
And we know how many times these games come down to item spikes and they come down to summoner spells. Kanavi not having his flash in that next fight could be massive. Missing his heal, probably not as big of a deal, but that Wukong not being able to immediately find backline access could cost them dearly, especially as each and every member of T1 has their flash up and available.
So much tension here in this game to see if they can break it open. JDG dispersed into the 1-3-1 here. Ruler in your ruler position, trying to hold that wave. Should be calm as T1 get a little bit deeper vision.
And it feels like such an important breakpoint because this is the first game that hasn't been very much in favor of one of the teams. Winning this gets you one game away from making it to the World's Finals. This is the most close game we've had so far. T1 do have Dragon advantage, but JDG have an incredible team fight come themselves as well.
And if you look at some of the star players here, Ruler got a lot of the early money. This Varus is on 3 items with transformed Muramana. This Varus poke is unreal right now. 3 item power spike with the Lucidity boots as well. So much cooldown reduction, so much poke damage available here. He's the one who tries to take over mid lane Prush. They're even going to use Knight's ultimate to try and get some extra damage on tower here. Looks like they don't want to step up to it.
Have to be careful. Maybe not expecting 4 members of T1 to be there. Zeus walking up to the mid lane as well. The poke from Ruler can be devastating. T1 can't spend too long trading blows in the mid lane against this Varus, or too long setting up and taking objectives. Topside control, topside vision control in favor of T1. A bit of vision in the pit means JDG don't have to be too scared, but they might be fishing for the angle. Arrow going on to the jungler. Flick back is there, looking to burst Owner, looking to taste him out of the equation. The pullback is there for Guma. He will keep Carry alive. Fate's call, but it's the fate of T1 to lose this Baron. Zeus playing on the edge here. Step forward. Dark and Blade, Q2 coming out. Just a bit of poke though. JDG looking to take control of the area, but they don't quite have all the vision that they need to walk in.
Oh, Zeus is on the watch. They can take him down.
Zeus spotted 369 early ultimate to get the Fury up. Knight going over the wall. The flick back flashed away, but Zeus is certainly dead. The rest of T1 now trying to move into the jungle to compensate, but Missing, zoning them off as best he can. Zeus, the blast cone, not enough. Back into the midst of the team, and he will get taken down. Ruler now on a rampage.
And that may be the angle that they're looking for.
Dragon though, are they going to try and trade Baron for Dragon Soul? They've got Callista.
Looks
They're going to
like
try and rend it. Gumayusi's going to try and rend this Dragon. They're going to try and get Cloud Soul in exchange for the Baron buff.
And the immediate win going to be there for JDG. We know how deadly this team is when they get their hands on a Baron. T1 starts off with Missing, finding the arrow onto Owner. Ends up going down. And it snowballs from there. The vision control pivotal there, because if Zeus goes unmatched and JDG start that up, it might have been another play entirely. But JDG able to pull out at least on the short term.
JDG have had some of the most devastating Baron power plays of any team at the tournament. Let's see what they can get done with it, because they did pay a decent price here in the form of a permanent Dragon Soul to the side of T1.
Have to be careful, have to respect that soul. But for the next 2 minutes and 20 seconds, it is JDG who are favored. Not quite enough members in the mid lane to bully this tower down, but the empowered cannon minions will be more than enough. And again, eyes on Ruler! Guma forced to flash. Clean arrows from Missing this game. Owner has to be careful here. Flick back, not quite going to connect. Owner able to walk this one out. A tier 2 tower in the sights of JDG. They should be able to get this easily. A similar story for 369 on the bottom side. T1 just need to weather the storm.
And the heal is good in lane, but once you get out, it is very tough not to have the cleanse.
Zeus on the flank.
Zeus on the side. TP coming in. Faker looking to make the flank against Ruler. Owner goes in! And again, the combos are clean. The hostile takeover is damn well hostile. T1 looking to leave no survivors alive. 369 admits the entire team will get absolutely nothing. T1 in the clutch are too damn clean. Baker predicts Ruler's flash. He gets there first. He catches him with the ultimate. It is a clean ace.
The T1 gonna go up to match point. And it's Faker that sets it up. Owner that knocks it down.
Just when you think that JDG are in total control, it wasn't even about the Cloud Soul. It was a single moment from T1 that gave them this game, that set them up for a match point. Missing, he won't be enough. T1 gonna break the base. T1 gonna move on to match point. A clean fight out of nowhere secures them their second game.
These players on T1, they've accomplished so much. And yet, of course, everyone knows their main goal, an international championship, has been the one thing that has eluded them. They've talked about in interviews, this might be the last year that they stay together, with so many of them being career T1 players. To be one step away from reaching another finals is huge.
An incredible game from T1, and what a confidence-inspiring moment to turn it back just when it might have been lost. And T1 now moving on to match point after the break. But first, let's have a look at some of the behind.
If they wanted to grab it first, or they could go for a support or a jungle pick here.
Dangerous position JDG put themselves in.
The Vi and the Jarvan are two of the combos that you usually play with Orianna.
And Owner looks damn clean throughout the entire tournament on the Jarvan. Part of the reason we've seen it taken away so frequently. Is it something that T1 want to prioritize here? Are they comfortable taking another side of the matchup? The Rel was ultimately the ban from JDG, given how comfortable Owner had been on it, but there is the J4, unsurprisingly.
You gotta pick it away. I also think that J4, with his ultimate, makes going or trying to opt into really aggressive 2v2 bot lanes with immobile carries a lot riskier. His ultimate can be such a powerful tool when you're playing things like, for example, a Varus.
So they could replace the Jarvan pick here on the side of JDG with the Vi and still have that guaranteed engage, that shockwave delivery system. Gumayushi's been so good on the Varus. He's combined with Keria for so many aggressive pushing lanes with it. They have a chance to break that up, the Ashe Varus that has been their go-to combo, but Keria's got plenty in his bag. He can dig deep for other things as well.
Baiting. Kanavi locking the Belveth. So many dashes to dodge the Jarvan EQ, favored very often in the 1v1.
It also really emphasizes level 1s and level 1 invades and looking at Raptor steals. So now we're also even keeping that in mind, level 1 compositions as we go into the possibly final game here.
Additionally, we do see that Zeus will not be allowed to play Aatrox in this one. And now T1 are faced with an option. Do you want to pick something for Zeus so that he can try and pressure 369 in his position? Or are they going to leave it and have the risk of his pool being pinched?
So JDG are actually in a bit of a pinch here for the Aatrox because Zeus on his Smurf has been playing Graves, which we saw a really strong counter to it already. I wonder if they're going to ban away the Graves to protect Aatrox here. Some other counter picks to it that are pretty rarely seen are like the Fiora, the Camille sometimes used as well. See what they want to protect 369 with, because Zeus has definitely been one of the big advantages that they can utilize here. They're more worried about the Ashe comparison that we were talking about with the Varus.
Yeah. And I think Zeus, obviously a player not afraid to take these more volatile matchups. Busted out the Jace, a champion where you need to snowball, you need to press your leads. Did a fantastic job doing so in the quarterfinals. See if he goes for something similarly volatile in match point scenario. Ashe banned away for now. Again, it seems like just trying to limit the potential of this bottom lane to get free bot lane prio in the early game. Renata also taken off the board.
And I wouldn't be surprised if T1 keep hidden what Keria is going to do. Because let's not forget, it was Varus support specifically that Keria put out, after which he said, please don't do this. You are not Keria. Your teammates are not T1. You should not try this at home. That is also a Zeus special into the Aatrox specifically, and would set up a terrifying wombo combo.
Yes. He's doing it! Forget the Graves, we're going all in. The Yone, so they've got Jarvan plus Yone initiation here to set up for it. So much CC on the side of T1. It's gonna make playing Belveth so difficult here. I mean, Belveth relies so much on being able to tank damage with the E and have more isolated fights and skirmishes. Ooh. But every member on T1 has ways to interrupt the Belveth E.
And I am concerned for JDG right now because Zeri is not a strong champion in the early stages of the game. Varus is a notorious lane bully, and you've just given the freedom to Keria to counterpick your support pretty effortlessly. Lulu good, obviously, but can be outclassed by a lot of the ranged options. And Caitlyn, while not a traditional support, is one of them.
I mean, we still don't know who's playing what. Like, given that it's Gumayushi,
Bard. Oh.
yeah, it's going to be the Bard instead. And let's not forget, it was this Zeri pick specifically that got Ruler his first LCK win back in 2022. It was when Zeri was at the height of her powers, and this is a champion he is insanely comfortable. It's Kanavi still undefeated on the Belveth. This is what JDG has pulled out to try and deny T1 access to the finals.
Even though JDG are on the blue side this time around, that has won all of the games, it seems a little iffy here. They do need to scale into this game, whereas T1 have a lot of playmaking options here. Aggressive lanes locked in, both in bottom lane and in top lane, and Owner got the premier ganking jungler of the patch, Jarvan. Belveth, though, can get some pretty good level 1 leads if you can go for a level 1 play, if you can steal away some Raptors. We will see.
A lot of pressure on JDG, no doubt, opting for scaling, something that has done so well for them domestically and even internationally. Not surprising, but T1's roster and the lineup that they have opted for in Champ Select is incredibly, incredibly explosive, strong on the level 1. Bard and Varus with the Halo Blades, incredibly oppressive if you do want to fight level 1. This is going to be a tricky puzzle to try to solve from the side of JDG to bring us to a Game 5.
And to me, Kanavi is going to be the key. He is the one that needs to be the bridge for JDG towards that mid to late game, where I still think the T1 comp has a lot of power, but that is where this composition from JDG is going to shine. When Knight and Ruler are hitting 1-2 items, they can single-handedly win fights. We've seen them do it countless times, and they have no choice at this point.
Keria walking in, getting a little bit of early chip damage. Rain of Arrows coming down as well, just to follow that up. Ruler should just be able to back here, not a big deal. A bit more money in the back pocket of Keria. I imagine he gets all 3 stacks there, so probably can go back, opt for a pot if he so chooses. No, control word.
Kanavi definitely a very good Belveth player. Played a lot of games of it, and their eyeballs are on those Raptors we're talking about. But T1, well aware, trying to defend, should be able to do so. Keria's even made a recall. Look at the Bard coming down mid lane. Keria's kind of hovering at the mid ground here, just in case JDG were to make a hard push. But of course, with full vision, we know that the JDG bottom lane is down bottom, and so they're not going to go for the hard force on Raptors just yet.
No, the ideal world of starting enemy Raptors on Belveth will be denied for now, at least. See what Kanavi can do to steal some of those away as we move later into the game. Early lane phase, have to see if JDG can get any priority here. Guma not opting for Halo Blade, so not quite as keen to go for lane prio. Instead, trying to match the scaling that Ruler is going to bring to the table with the Zeri.
Yeah, going to be the lethal tempo and call as well, so him and Keria going to be very happy to just take it easy in this lane. And we have already seen against LNG what Guma can do on this very auto-attack focused Varus. As the early laning phase is going to be really big. Duno missing, going for the healer, Keria for the ignite. And both junglers expected to path towards the bot side of the map. Early level 2 is there for JDG though.
And for Owner, we know how impactful he can be in the early game. It has been a story of junglers pretty much across the entire series. But for Owner on this J4, a bit more pressure to make some of these early plays happen. Topside going well for Zeus here. Early levels for Aatrox difficult. Darken Blade cooldown is simply so long that it's hard to find good opportunities to trade back. Zeus stacking the wave here. Not a lot of dive threat, but can go for the Q3 if he wants a bit of extra poke.
So tense here. With Zeus pushing in on top side, knowing both junglers pushing away from the top lane. Zeus getting a lot of harassment done under the tower even, using his aggressive E here as he's able to push up. Meanwhile, though, bottom lane, supported by the junglers clearing down towards them. The Lulu Zeri early on, getting control of the minion wave. And being able to use that for their safety.
Yep. Might have a fight towards the early scuttle as well. We do see T1 already placed some vision down there. Faker, at least right now, will have priority, but will use that to go for a base instead. I don't know if Knight will actually let him, and we do see Missing and Ruler already trying to make their way over and ensure that Kanavi can get this early crab, and Doesn't look like T1, at least for now, are winning. But Faker did get it back in. Made his way back to the mid wave, but will be behind on the play.
Carrier maybe just going to throw down a bit of poke. Cosmic Binding to hit missing. Kanavi will grab the crab. Belveth incredibly strong early on in the game.
Yeah, pushing bottom lane allows JDG to come first as well. And he's going for the double here. We'll see about the meetup, because Owner also trying to get in position first. Can he get to the Pixel Brush and have control of vision? He gets the ward down in it. And he's got Smite as well, so he's got it.
Yeah, priority there for Zeus as well, who's first on the roam if they do try to force the objective. So instead, Scuttle Crab traded 1 for 1. Owner now turning his attention over to his Raptors. Zeus is just keeping this pressure up on the top side of the map.
And I want you to pay attention to the amount of vision that has been set up here, allowing Zeus to really play so aggressively with this Yone and try and generate leads, which with the Graves was exactly the same way that we've seen the Aatrox be dealt with before. As long as you are aware, and they have been doing a good job of tracking Kanavi, Zeus should be able to push to his heart's content.
Right, continuing to poke in the mid lane, but you're right. Control and support for Zeus in so many of these clutch scenarios, regardless of what champion he is playing, has been a hero and a standout for T1 this tournament. As Carrier, for now, just denying Missing's back, has just enough mana for the Whimsy to take him out to safety.
And JDG and 369 have to be very careful this game, because if Zeus gets a lead this game, the Yone has a very easy time of getting set up by a Bard ultimate.
Missing, denied again. There's no kill angle here.
If Carrier can land a Bard ultimate later, set him up for an easy Yone over the top, they can group
Carrier might be the one in trouble. Journey comes out. Ruler going through.
Playing with him.
He can go over the wall.
Yeah, big thing here is that the wave state obviously is kind of rough. We'll see if Ruler is able to actually shove it in, but with the wave just now coming in, I don't think he will be able to without missing. Might have to give up some CS here. One thing that is really big though, and I've seen a lot of Zeri games come out, as I think Zeus actually went for the
he did. He went for the Fate
yeah.
Seal. He completely whiffed. Looked like a nice side step from 369. No flash burn means pretty favorable trade.
But no one on T1 is 100% secure in locking down this area, right? There's no Nautilus, there's no Vi, and that is something that Ruler in the past, particularly with the shielding that he's going to get from Knight, from Missing, has been able to utilize insanely well. Was of course a different era of Zeri. Don't quite have as much agency as you did back then, as Carrier going for a play, but will get spotted on the ward.
Kanavi coming in. Owner waiting in the darkness. Don't want to commit to the play there.
They gotta know.
They're late on the bot lane roam. Yes, Carrier gets out of lane, but for now, Guma forced to just catch that CS. Faker waiting as long as he can, trying to hold on to the shifting sands. Turning their attentions to the bottom lane. Guma only level 5. Carrier.
The short tunnel.
Yeah, if you've ever played Bard, that's a classic. That's the little stubby guy right there. Not going to do much. That's why you normal cast and don't smart cast the Bard portal.
It's the dragon nub. You just get the little...
Do note, there are no teleports for either top laner here, so if we do get a fight for this dragon, or at least for the Scuttle, it will be exclusively between 4 versus 4.
Owner going in, decent bit of poke damage. Just the EQ as well as the Iron Spike Whip. No level 6 again.
Minus 6.
Carrier flash to the wall, locking up Knight. It's a clean play. Flag drag, flash forward. Committing on Knight. The shockwave now coming in. Faker turning it right back. First blood. Everybody getting out. That's a one hell of a magical journey. They'll get the kill back onto Owner, but now they're in enemy territory. Cosmic Binding is good, but here comes Kanavi. Locked up, nowhere for Faker to go, and JDG fire back, but Zeus on the top side going all in.
And
still.
Ruler is rich. Both of those kills going into the Zeri is exactly what JDG want. Get this Zeri super fed. You have the Lulu and the Orianna. Double supportive scaling here for the pentakill machine.
And it's specifically the stall from JDG that ends up being the big difference maker there. Guma doesn't initially join the fight when Carrier goes in. And look at the heal and shockwave combo. Even with the flash, it's not enough. And it means that Guma doesn't actually hit his ult. JDG with the full health rush are able to cut off the escape. And Ruler getting fed on Zeri this early. I've seen countless times, and it does not end well for his opponents.
Yeah, that's about the worst possible thing that could happen if you're a T1 fan right now.
Oh, yeah.
Ruler's area getting ahead, definitely a big concern there. Able to go back and buy the Noon. Quiver Zeus now locked up. Fate Seal going to take him out to safety. 369 not able to get in front of it and stop the dash.
I like the call from JDG, you know, the full rotation up to the top side of the map, trying to play off of those 2 kills that they got so they can rush down Rift Herald for the Bel'Veth, use those Bel'Veth Voidlings for pushing along with the pop, and continue to snowball him.
It also takes away a lot of the power that Zeus was having in this isolated 1v1. Now Kanavi on the Bel'Veth got an early Herald. That's a best case scenario for JDG, and they're looking for more.
Zeus no ulti, very vulnerable if they do want to commit for the all-in, but Owner and Carrier in the area. Right here beside him, level 6. Around the corner for Carrier, but still needs a bit more. Faker over the wall, though, has been locked in by the Infernal Chains above and below, coming up for the Bel'Veth. Faker in trouble, not going to be able to get out of this one. The kill coming through for Kanavi.
Yeah, that's JDG territory. Faker walks right in, and they welcome him with open arms. Teleport down to the bottom side to even catch the minion wave down here for Knight. So JDG are able to take basically everything there. The only thing they had to give up was 1 turret plate to Guma.
You can see the continued play. JDG so badly want to use the early power of the Bel'Veth when the Herald goes down to try and get as much gold into the Zeri as humanly possible.
It's an incredibly heads-up play, not giving Ruler a laning phase, instead just focusing on funding all this gold in these favored lane scenarios. He doesn't have to go against the Varus, pulling further and further ahead. Standing on a ward currently. He's going to have the Q3, doesn't look like he is going to go for it on the top side. He will, canceling that one. Q3 can come out, he's only got a few more seconds of soul inbound, but Ruler will be able to just parkour his way out to safety.
Good jump there from Ruler. If Zeus hits that Q, he probably tries to follow up with the ult and then carry there as well. But he jumps out. No damage dealt, no problem for them. Easy reset afterwards, and very comfortable early lead here for JDG. Not only is it the magnitude of the early lead with the gold here, but it's the concentration of it in the exact perfect spot.
Yes. Just continuously canceling these backs. Actually pretty disruptive to the side of JDG.
Yeah.
We're going to push one more wave. Stride Breaker now completed for Kanavi. He's very powerful. Owner still trailing behind, doesn't have the luxury of the extra assist or kill. But Owner will start up the Drake. Focus on the Dragons has paid dividends for T1 in the entire bracket stage, excuse me.
And that is actually courtesy of Zeus, right? If Ruler and Missing are able to get their back in early, I think Ruler gets back, picks up his Storm Razor, and then T1 might not be able to get the Dragon. We'll be getting that though. Still think JDG is going to be very happy with how this early game has played out. Very early Storm Razor and call finish on Ruler. I think he was sitting at like a, 700 gold lead already this early on in the game on a pick that obviously scales insanely well. And early Drake is going to go to T1, but because it's so late, doesn't feel like Dragon stacking is going to be as easy as it was in the previous games.
Yeah, and JDG, their eyes are just set on Ruler's inventory. They're like, we get a couple items on the Zeri, and then we will be able to take over. So the price of giving up a couple of early dragons, they're not as worried about because they have confidence they can win those later dragon fights and even stop any stacking that T1 start early.
And while in the previous game, T1 had some phenomenal team fight execution, and do need that to lock down this Zeri. It's not something you want to have to rely on, these flawless engages. You want to be able to play things a bit more standard, a bit more by the book, and that's only going to get harder and harder as Ruler gets more items under his belt. Because we talk about the threat of JDG. They absorb your engage, they re-engage. That's Zeri in a nutshell. You go in on her, you don't kill her, she pushes ult, she kills your entire team.
And a really big thing for T1, I think, is trying to get someone in side lane ahead. And that's why so much attention has been paid towards Zeus. Because if he is unmatched inside, it gives you a pressure point to try and draw apart JDG. Because in the mid to late game, no one will be able to match this Yone in the 1v1. But if he doesn't actually get a meaningful lead, and JDG are able to maintain control of the game, get early objectives, then T1 is going to be stuck trying to 5v5, trying to actually contest for some of these dragons, some of these barons, and it'll make it a relatively straightforward task for JDG. Again, particularly with 9 on Orianna, which has been insane throughout this entire series, really the entire tournament, and then Ruler on a Lulu-powered up Zeri.
Yeah, it's just a perfectly constructed comp here for the way that JDG like to play around their super carries. Meanwhile, T1 overloading topside as we get a teleport back to the tower from 369. Area thinking about it. That's going to be all that they do up here. Now,
Zeus obviously pretty favored in the 1v1, easy for him to kind of dictate when they do and do not trade, but hasn't been able to break that matchup open quite yet. Maybe it'll get easier once he completes that first item. Luden's now completed for Faker. The crown for Knight, again, aware that he needs to survive on side lane, potentially against someone as lethal as the Yone.
And yeah, facing Yone in the side lane is just a nightmare, even with Crown. It does take away, I think, particularly from the engage potential of someone like Owner, as Zeus, he needs to play this aggressive. And you see, again, we've talked about this earlier as well, but it still remains true. There is so much attempted vision here from T1 just to try and ensure that this Yone can get to a decent state in the game. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. Herald is going to be up in about 35 seconds, and I would expect both teams to heavily try and play towards that. For JDG, offers you an opportunity to get Ruler even further ahead and break open that mid lane turret in particular. For T1, maybe that's the break that Zeus has been looking for.
Looking for that angle as Keria, again, just continues to be a nuisance here. Magical Journey takes him out to safety. Gumishi just going to catch the wave in mid lane, so you can get priority here first. 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the Drake. Yes, 10 seconds left on the second Herald. JDG get prio here. Expect they're favored on the objective, and you can see the one strong point for T1 in this pretty rough early game is still Zeus on the top side, on the Yone. Going to continue to track what he can get done with his lead.
Constantly moving in, getting some turret plate money for himself, getting that pressure down for T1.
The vision.
But here it comes. Rift Herald's been started. T1 are here. Teleports are ready for both Faker and Knight.
TB coming to the mid lane from Knight. TB coming into the pit from Faker. Unleashed just in time. Ruler slowed down just a bit. Objective getting lower and lower. Who's going to take it? Kanavi is going to grab it. Ulti coming out with the shockwave on the backside to lock up Gumayushi. Owner goes in, but he's not able to get much done. Kanavi dipping and diving. Zeus finally going to catch the jungler, but Ruler for now is still completely untouched. Kanavi is living. The lightning crash comes out, and it is time for T1 to get the hell out of Dodge. Zeus has burned all of his resources, but continuing to step up. Will walk away, but JDG, again, they get the Herald. They keep their jungler alive. It's a perfect exchange.
And Kanavi does not die in those moments. Missing, backing him up. They get the Herald again for the Bel'Veth, and they're able to get the better hand of T1.
Let's see if they can actually start snowballing with it, knock down some of these turrets, because Dragon coming up at only 14 seconds, and T1 are trying to reset in time for it.
Take a look at some of the individual gold. Lead on the top side, 1K to Yone. Ruler getting further and further ahead, that much closer to the quick blades.
Now, T1 do have teleport advantage if Zeus can either get some space away from 369 or even go back to base. Zeus could teleport down to the Dragon fight and kind of sacrifice the push on top in exchange. Also, another thing to think about always when you're playing against the Bard, Kanavi here does have Rift Herald, but Bard can just ult the towers to immune them and immune the charge and nullify most of the effect.
Yep, 5 seconds till that ult is available for Keria. Varus ult already available. Kanavi going through the portal! He didn't mean to click that! Oh, that's gonna cost him! Still standing for now. Will live!
That's a magical journey indeed.
Yeah, but not the good kind of magic. And even though Kanavi is able to stay alive, that is a lot of health gone for the jungler, and T1 immediately going to try and capitalize.
Kanavi starting to heal up, has the red buff ticking.
They can't contest.
But there's no room for JDG to contest this one. The Herald going to be immediately dropped mid. Keria still has the ulti to deny the charge, but JDG barreling in. A lot of members here might be able to break the tower anyway. Still, they're going to break it. 369 caught up. Oh! Gumayushi can go in for the counter engage. The flash out. Keria flashing forward. Will not connect on the stun. Faker on the flank. Herald still there. Void Remora still there. Zeus finds the knockup. He finds two, but there's no follow-up. He gets out the Lulu wall. Kanavi now stepping in. Knight there. Shockwave comes back. The counter punch from JDG is too damn much, but T1 are still standing. T1 are still firing back. It's a 1-for-1.
Oh, these fights are just on the edge. Knight with the shockwave to find them, but the counter kill again under tower. This time around, Kanavi's not surviving under tower twice.
And this is reminiscent of game number 3. Neither of these teams are giving up anything for free, and after the charge is denied, it's Zeus going in aggressively, but this is an Orianna that actually does have the crown, and missing has his defensive cooldowns as well. Is able to wild growth himself, and then the shockwave, it looks like the fight is turned for JDG, but it's not enough for Zeus.
Zeus running, has no fate sealed. Still a big threat in the 1v1 with the rest of the team now on the way. Looks like Hullbreaker will be the second item choice for Zeus, so focusing on that side lane.
Kanavi's had some wild clicks so far in this game. The Magical Journey and then also the crystal there going in.
That was very close to being like the worst click of the tournament. But he lives somehow.
It's fine. He's okay.
It's fine. We learned cats have 9 lives. Belveth has 3. You only get a couple of those before she eventually has to go down.
All right, well, we do have the quick blades for Zeri, for Ruler here. Level 11 Zeri Ruler. Now that is a bit scary for T1. They have to give preference on the map right now to wherever Ruler is moving with JDG. The chase down potential of this champion, if you make a mistake, is going to be too much.
Way too much. Yeah, we've seen a lot of Zeris just barely get out and then turn a team fight. And it is also fitting that it's Knight and Ruler that I think are going to have to do heavy lifting. 369, just because of the counter pick, hasn't really been able to have the biggest impact. And it was Knight and Ruler together that were able to deny that crucial 5th game from KT with an absolutely heroic play, which didn't involve Zeri, but did involve Knight's Orianna. And it feels like T1 should be good. When it comes to specifically the side lane, they are clearly trying to leverage Zeus as much as they can. But is JDG actually going to let them?
And even in some of these team fights here, Zeus in a position to create a lot more pressure than 369's Aatrox. This is a defensive Aatrox. This is the Gore Drinker Sterix, tankier version of it, not the lethality that we have been seeing. Whereas Zeus here will have big damage output. We saw the grouping of the ultimate on display in the last one.
Yeah, as long as he can stack up that Q, should be able to find backline access when combined with the Soul Unbound, the Fate Seal, the ultimate, and E respectively. Faker continuing to walk up on the top side. And now Keria caught out, no Magical Journey available. Ruler walks in, just gets a freebie.
Knight serves up Ruler some extra gold on a silver platter.
And now JDG just walking in, looking to take tier 2. Boom is here, but what is he gonna get done? Now trying to lock them up, has flashed out to safety. Owner buying a bit more space for Guma, but they're being forced to retreat. TP already used. Zeus waiting over the wall, trying to find the jungler. It feels personal how many times this man has managed to survive, but the fate is sealed of Kanavi. T1 managed to punish in the mid lane. Keria traded for Kanavi in the grand scheme of things.
Faker says, I invest my TP, I take my kill, as they are able to collapse onto Kanavi there, and I think that is big. Could have been an opportunity for JDD
Kings on Dragon,
to try and get
Baron.
more. Yeah, what is T1 going to do? They do have a
They have a Yone and a Varus. They have a Yone and a Varus. They eat this objective alive.
Rage Blade's done.
JDG have zero vision. They have zero way into the pit. They have zero tools to get on top of them quickly. T1 are determined to take the objective. It's getting lower and lower. There's a portal in the back of the pit. It's a goddamn good heist. T1 get in. They get the Baron, and they get the hell out.
And we hadn't seen a lot of these, but the T1 Baron is back, baby. 21 minutes in, Kanavi goes down, and T1 might also be able to use this to set themselves up for an Ocean Soul point. A Hullbreaker Ocean Soul Yone is a nightmare.
You can best believe Kanavi's gonna hear it after this one. He better have some good plays around Dragon coming up.
And that's the thing, as much as we talk about not being able to give JDG an inch because they're so proficient in the late game, the same is true of T1 around Baron. If there's any team that will go for this objective at a moment's notice, it is this T1 lineup. But JDG know they have priority access to the pit. Zeus waiting over the wall. Again, it is all eyes on Ruler. He has to be the difference maker here. A good shockwave, the Zeri follow-up could be enough for JDG to take the fight, but for now they're focused on the objective. Owner zoning them away, 2.5k, it's getting lower and lower. They will burn it down, they get what they came for. T1, do they want to stay for the fight? Knockup coming through, Owner caught up, Flag and Drag will take him out to safety. Kanavi burning on the back side. Owner still standing, with Ruler with the lightning crash now trying to go in, but goes gold, and Keria buys a bit more space for the rest of the team. Arrows coming in from the bars. Ruler incredibly low, but maybe, just maybe, he can turn it back, but Guma's still standing tall. He can't walk into range. T1 starting to feel like an inevitability. Ruler, Zeri, not enough.
T1 are running JDG in circles in these team fights. What?
Taves flashing forward, just trying to deny, just trying to zone them away. Blood in their eyes. They want everything. They'll break the tier 1.
And Zeus is just like, I'm flashing, I'm cancelling backs, I'm finding a target, but that is soul points. That is a Red Bull player and power play of 3.5K, and that is T1 setting themselves up for a possible final.
Not a single T1 member dropping there. You have to look at both sides of this team fight. It sections off into so many different sick plays. First of all, though, is the Dragon. Guma Yushi combo arrow with owner to be able to secure it. Guma at Worlds has been able to steal objectives, and he's able to secure them with his team. Faker goes in for the ultimate, which gets Knight's stasis here, and then Knight has to flash Zeus's ultimate that was over the top. Then Zeus just continues back up to the top side of the team right where Owner lived.
The lineup is perfect there. They've locked up Ruler. That's all that they need. Zeus now stepping in. Zeus desperate to get the Q3, but he cannot find the angle. Ruler now retreating. T1, will they go for more? Flashing from Owner. Kanavi now in trouble. Wild Grove coming out. T1 find the angle. Barreling down the top side with the Baron, ready to break the backs of JDG. The magical journey for T1 coming through, and perhaps the golden road coming to an end.
And it was Keria that actually was able to hit his ultimate on Ruler in that fight. That's why Ruler couldn't do anything. The most fed member of JDG in that fight around the Dragon wasn't there.
The Baron now just times out. Kanavi's the only one that remains dead, but T1 with lightning quick speed takes so much from JDG. Faker now 5 kills to his name on the Azir, collecting heads. Ruler jumps through the wall, and T1 are not gonna let that one slide. Keria nails him, Zeus with the follow-up, and T1 swarm on them. Gumayushi hits his ulti there onto Kanavi. They chase him down. Because Ruler had been chased out with so little health, they pick up the kill on the jungler again.
And it's not done for JDG. They've come back from worse games. But just the level of dominance that T1 was able to show ever since that Dragon fight, the gold lead now skyrocketed towards them. I think Zeus is going to be unkillable inside the moment that they get this Ocean Soul, and Kanavi needs to make sure that that doesn't go their way.
If JDG win this game, it's going to be off the back of a miraculous Zeri team fight.
Knight locked up.
Knight is locked.
The crown will not stop that. And he's only a Knight. Faker knocking him down, unstoppable.
Keria Bard. He's got the hand of Midas. Everyone he touches turns to gold in the favor of T1.
T1 continuing to press forward. JDG backs against the wall. They've come so far, so close to the golden road. But here in the late game, it's all eyes on Ruler. It's eyes on the execution. T1 not giving them a single moment to breathe, a moment to relax. Ruler clearing the wave as best he can. Guma getting stronger and stronger. The attack speed bar is starting to hit like a truck, shredding through the tower slowly but surely. Faker on the flank.
And the big thing is, Ruler's flash cooldown, which I think is going to be an absolutely pivotal summoner, will not be up for when the Dragon spawns. There is a window here for T1 where they can all in on this Dragon, try and make sure that the Zeri won't be able to get away as consistently from the engage from Zeus. Gumayushi also finishing Wit's End. Build like this on it doesn't skill nearly as well as some of the more AP or crit focused builds, but right now you are dishing out so much damage.
T1. They have been faced with the LPL gauntlet. They took down BLG in the Swiss stage. They took down LNG in the quarterfinals. Looking at JDG here, can they do it?
Weibo waiting for them in the finals. Kanavi taking the buff. Tension on each and every play that JDG are going to try to go for at this stage of the game. They cannot afford any more slip-ups, any more mistakes to be caught out. And it's so hard now because Keria can just fish with Bard ults. T1 have the advantage. A massive gold lead, 3 Drakes backing them up, 4 seconds to the Baron, 6 to the Ocean Soul. JDG have to be careful.
Zeus coming up the river here.
JDG have to be perfect.
He's going to start up the Dragon himself.
Kanavi getting chunked away. Zeus can start this one, draw the attention of JDG. They're forced to respond. They can't afford to give up the soul. Guma clearing the mid-wave. T1 a bit split. Eyes on Ruler. Eyes on the shockwave of Knight. Kanavi stepping in, flash to the side from Faker. Ooh. At the cost of very little. Owner walking more, but Faker now dominating! Kanavi! A massive mistake! Keria now going in, the Ruler's untouched! Goes golden and now Ruler! Looking to take over the fight, Ruler still standing, but Guma still standing, Guma firing back! Ruler goes down! Guma's just better! Zeus now stepping in. Fate sealed. Or rather, Soul Unbound now taking it back. The Ocean Soul for T1. They get everything they want.
It's the Death Gap! It's the Death Gap for Faker, the damage! Unexpected! They're gonna get Soul! They're gonna get Baron!
Run from it! Dread it! T1 are inevitable! Faker will come for the final spot! T1 will get the Baron! They will get the split push! They've got JDG on the ropes!
JDG, they've got maybe one last fight in them. And then a few more after that if they want to claw their way back into this game, but it all falls apart. A single mistake, a single moment where Kanavi messes up, costs JDG so much.
He tries to get the W knockup onto Faker. Faker flashes it to the side and then chops him down, and that is the signal for T1. They go all in, Keria onto Ruler, Ruler flashing then onto Gumayushi, but Guma pops him.
And it's the player on T1 that had the worst international debut in 2022, but it's him that's been trying to keep and hold down the fort and wins it there.
Coming into this tournament, he said, me and Keria are the best bot lane. He is looking to prove it as he breaks the back of each and every LPL AD carry.
Gumayushi also said, when questioned, how will you stop Ruler? I won't. I will crush him. And he just did.
And now, crucially, Ruler doesn't have his flash available. Knight doesn't have his flash available. Just shy of Death Cap. No real power there for the Orianna. Such a defensive build. I don't know if they're going to have the damage, particularly with Ocean Soul.
Ocean Soul Zeus on the side lane. Can't be stopped. He can be slowed, but he cannot be stopped without more members there. 369 will not be enough. JDG know that that's a losing prospect on the top side, so instead they will focus on the bottom side, but this inhibitor will be a continuous weak point. 369 finding the lockup. Zeus snapping back on the Soul Unbound. Will just break the inhibitor. He knows what he's here for. It is slow. It is controlled. It is diligence. The hype moment over for a moment as Kanavi weaves in and out of the exchange, looking for a bit of redemption for himself. T1, explosive fight after explosive fight has put them in a position to close this out cleanly, clinically. Death by 1,000 cuts for JDG.
So much riding on these last minutes. JDG trying to defend their golden road as it crumbles before them. T1, the onslaught will not stop. Third inhibitor goes down.
T1 pushing in.
They're not done.
They've got the Baron still. 36 seconds. 5K Red Bull Baron power play backing them up. Zeus finding an initial knockup, just a bit of poke. A single misstep from JDG and T1 can instantly fully commit to the fight. It's the shockwave. Kanavi getting lower and lower, falling apart under the pressure. JDG's hope dwindling. They've taken down BLG. They've taken down LNG. It is not LPL versus LCK. It is T1 versus the LPL. And they like those odds as they move to finals.
Faker, over 10 years into his career, will head to another World Finals. At the head of this squad that has had so much success, but still chasing the cup.
The highs and lows of this roster over the last 2 years. The hype in spring after they won, and one of the best splits of all time. And not able to deliver again at MSI, again at Worlds, again this year. And now they get another opportunity.
And for Faker to beat Ruler here, to go on to the finals, in front of a home crowd, to return to Seoul, to return to the final stage after a tumultuous year, a tumultuous summer, where they looked lost at times, where Faker wasn't even there for a decent chunk of it, is an incredible, incredible achievement. We were ready for 4 LPL teams in the semifinals, but T1 denied the odds then, and they continue to do so. Their opponents, JDG, a solemn bow, as their golden road is denied.